as we're watching children being starved and slaughtered overseas, as the world careens closer to climate disaster, as we just had the hottest year ever on record, as we just watched Donald Trump take power again, as we have women who can't, or people rather, get mad at me, I said people, who can't get access to abortions, Anna. That's a real fucking problem to me. That's reproductive health care. That's a freedom issue that I fucking care about.
Look at the veins in his forehead. We're about to see mass
family separations. We're about to see documented, legal, birthright citizens of this country booted from the nation that I live in. It's fucked up and wrong, and I want to protest that. And don't call me a crazy lunatic activist, because I don't want people see people gunned down in the street. After we watched the single largest protest movement in American history come out and say defund the police, I think that's where the American people are at, Anna. I don't think it's a controversial take.
Holy shit.
No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
Keith Olbermann slid his metaphorical dick in my ear and jizzed all over my brain. Is what he did. She's just a liar.
It's Hanlon's razor. Do not attribute to malice that which can be adequately explained by stupidity. She's not evil. She's this fucking stupid. But now he's like, no, it's a crime's imaginary. Well, Anna didn't say she wants to fucking flick her bean to homeless people being punched and fucking killed. Like, what the fuck? You can't win with these people.
And you also, like, if you, anytime you listen to Emma Vigeland, she is maybe one of the most vile people.
Who's a bigger cunt, her or Francesca Fiorentini? Which one? Because I battle with this in my head. Welcome, comrades! I'm RD, short for Rhetorically Defective, here with my failed Magellan of the Clitoris co-host Patrick, and we are done with it. A podcast that's dedicated to the sea of communists that just don't get enough attention. Feel free to subscribe to our YouTube to see the video of the podcast. Link in the description. Patrick, it's been a wild week for scouting out communists for the podcast.
It really has. I mean, the upheaval that's going on with the Young Turks, like these young communists who refuse to abandon basically what the Young Turks have taught them to do. They're like noticing that the Young Turks are trying to like capitulating to the right a little bit, move over to the center, and they're trying to eat them, you know, metaphorically and maybe literally, depending.
Well,
it'll be interesting.
Well, the Young Turks really did this to themselves because they attempt to have a network which invariably is going to be corporatist in some sense or some regard. And they keep ignoring, they just keep saying the fringe left are like these radicals when it's Marxists. Anna Kasparian seems to think there's only 5 Marxists, but you're literally surrounded by them. And then can you believe that they're going to stage a revolution against the Young Turks? Can you believe it?
I can't. It's just crazy. Like I don't get it. I mean, I guess. I mean, if they were to actually say communist, though, I suppose that would get
progressive. They're progressives.
Like Cenk and Anna deserve this. Mm-hmm. They deserve this to happen to them.
Oh, this is going to be an episode of commie on commie violence.
Yeah, and this is what they've fostered over 20 years. And like I think I've referred to it as like a golem before. They've essentially created a golem that is going to try to, you know, consume them and destroy them. That's what they've done by platforming these young leftist communists for all these years.
Well, so the Vanguard, named after Vladimir Lenin's Vanguard, so it's really hard to see where the communists are in society. So they've been praying for the downfall of the Young Turks for like years now, okay? So that's why they're really cashing in on what's going on. Yeah. So it's like a long time coming, and people in the background, progressives in the background, communists in the background, demons in the background, have probably been kind of saying the same thing to each other, where like they're not progressive enough because like Cenk Uygur seems to think you can be a progressive capitalist. Isn't that just adorable?
Yeah, I mean, well, that's like the entire right. Because I mean, I don't know they call themselves progressives, but they also really like Bernie, right? So they identify with like a democratic socialist, and that sort of goes to that one clip of AOC talking about can you be a progressive and a capitalist? And she's like, yes, but. And that's what these two remind me of. Like,
well, it's funny. So in that interview, really quickly, she goes, some will say no, and some will say maybe. So we have a definite no and a possible, which is a no.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's not. And I mean the whole purpose of this progressive movement has always been to just slowly weed away at the free market in order for progressive big government programs. That's always been what they've wanted. That they're not interested in coexisting. The dialectic only moves in one direction most of the time, and it is moving towards communism. It always has been, or at least some sort of totalitarian.
They used to really drive the progressive liberal, and it seems like they've just kept the progressive and lost the liberal, if you can believe it.
Yeah. Although I guess I would say that the dialectic always only moves in one direction, and it's towards complete consolidation of power in the state and viewing the state as God. So there's no room for a free market economy or any sort of culture with these people's religion. I don't care what they say; they're liars.
Okay, so here's the Vanguard. I am obsessed with these two white boys.
No, me too. They're terrible.
I've been watching a lot of them, and I could throw a dart on a board and select a video, but let's just dip our toe into tearing down the Young Turks, which there's many videos of, but there's a couple of spurgs I really want to immortalize in this.
Sounds good. Sounds
video.
After somebody does it 1,000 times, we're like, all right, it. Here's who's doing it, and them, right?
Yeah.
And then everybody's like, oh no, I can't believe you're saying that about poor Jimmy Dore. I can't believe you're saying that about poor Dave Rubin. I can't believe you're saying that about poor Sam Cedar. I know. Poor Sam. Okay. So, anyways, look, the last thing is about Peter Thiel. So, apparently he put money.
So what we're going to be watching is two venomous snakes biting each other and crying that the other one poisoned them. Okay, it's gonna be just. It's not even a dialectic.
I do love look at what Jake is doing here is so dishonest. Jake and the Young Turks with Anna went after Jimmy Dore. They went after Dave Rubin, right? Because they pivoted to the right. Oh, I mean, Jimmy Dore is a really hardcore commie, but they pivoted away from the left because they realized how evil the left is and how they're basically establishment shills. Now that's what they're doing now, right? They're pivoting away from the left towards the center a little bit to try to capitulate with MAGA, with the populace, right? To sort of form a left and right populist movement against the establishment. But then they're saying that they're going after Sam Cedar in the same way that they did with Jimmy Dore and Dave Rubin. But that's not true at all. Sam Cedar is only moving more towards the left, only has more socialists on. Now they're in the role of Dave Rubin and what Dave Rubin, who's the other one I'm talking about? Dave Rubin and Jimmy Dore.
Yeah,
they're literally the new Jimmy Dore and Dave Rubin, but they're pretending that they're not and that they're going after Sam Cedar. I don't even know what the hell this fat fucking manatee is talking about.
Fat brown buffalo, please keep it classy.
Yeah, fat brown buffalo. Excuse me.
So a reoccurring theme that you're going to see is communists do this thing where they'll say something extremely dehumanizing and pejorative toward you, and then as soon as you defend yourself in any capacity, then you're attacking them. They were just trying to talk to you. So
Darvo.
Yes, exactly. It's very emotionally abusive. So it's going to be that in circles, but at the same time, Anna and Cenk have been doing that toward the right for fucking decades. Yeah, so who gives a shit if they eat shit?
Exactly. That's why they fucking deserve this. They deserve it. It's hilarious. Although I am interested, if they keep moving in this direction, I would love to see a show hosted by the actual Justice Warriors, Sean and Anna. That'd be amazing. I'd watch that.
100%. We'll see. Yeah, amazing. I mean, she's more independent and he's friendly with her, so hopefully.
Yeah, right.
Into Polymarket, right? So that people are holding that against us. Now, I didn't know that when we did the deal, but does it matter? I'm going to say something revolutionary. No, it doesn't matter. Why? Okay, Peter Thiel also financed PayPal. Did anybody ever use PayPal?
Who
if you
cares?
did, guilty. Okay, hold on. Okay, Peter Thiel also financed Facebook. Did anybody ever use Facebook? I know Emma did, because she used to make videos for us on Facebook. Emma, I can't believe you work with Peter Thiel.
So, are you aware that their studio was purchased by Polymarket? You know, like the betting site, the crypto betting site?
Yes, I remember this happening a year or two ago, maybe.
So it's not just using something that a billionaire created or funded. It's that your studio is now called the Polymarket Studio, and they're trying to be like of the people.
Yeah, I know. I know, right? Well, which is hilarious because I love that they're just embrace it. That's what progressive are. That's what leftists are. That's what communists are. It's literally the ideology and political positions of the elite posing as the people. I love it. Just embrace it.
Progressives set themselves up in this impossible standard where it's like what Vosh does or Hassan does, but Destiny doesn't do because Destiny's a capitalist. Destiny can own capital and have employees. Anyone that's progressive or left of liberal cannot. So Hassan Piker can't hire people because he'll be exploiting them because they have to get in. That's why none of them make a network. That's why none of the progressives actually, only when there's a Trump win, then they go, oh, now we need to really combine forces. Make your progressive news network. Between, 20 progressive content creators that have masses, over 50 million subscribers, but they can't make their own network because they do not want to split the profits.
Yeah.
So like they can never, so anyone that creates something large is the bad guy. That's why it's only tearing things down and never building anything up.
Exactly. And they'll never be able, and that's hilarious, right? That's a really good point. They're never going to be able to build anything. The idea is a decentralized revolution, but they're never going to be able to build anything. Although all they're just going to do is destroy.
The Peter Thiel-funded organization, Facebook. Hey, give me all that money back from all of your videos on Facebook, because Peter Thiel financed Facebook. You're going to do that? No, you're not going to do that, right? So,
very annoyed that they use Ghostbuster imagery here. As a huge Ghostbusters fan for 39 years, it's extremely infuriating, but continue.
Billy and Billy, or whoever they are, right?
Oh my goodness, guys.
He's so
to
crazy.
Say that we have a banger in tow for you.
100%.
Gavin and I, this is our comfort zone here
100%.
at the Vanguard. It is our security blanket. It is our community that we share, that we have fostered with you guys. It's very rare that our show is so exciting for the day, that our show is so unhinged for the day, that our show is so uniquely fabulous. Dare I say myself that I'm getting tingly. I am getting nervous. I'm getting the shakes. It reminds me of my first 7th grade talent show when I had to really work on not getting tremors and stage fright. That's how excited I am for what we have.
So of course he's a theater kid. Of course he is.
We've both been obsessively watching these two for the past week or so, okay?
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah.
And I am convinced, so Gavin's the
douchebag with the long hair.
I'm convinced he is on antidepressants because he cannot have any inflection at all whatsoever.
No,
he's flat the entire time. So he's the handler.
Yeah, he's the handler. He's an antidepressants. And then Zach on the right he's either unmedicated, mentally ill, or he comes across, and trust me, I know, he comes across as if he's just on constant high doses of Adderall. He's all over the place.
As long as he has the reactionary target, the anti-revolutionary target, you can say and do whatever you want, and he loves that. He loves that he gets to say these vicious things about people as long as they're on the other side. So that's his function. And then I'm pretty sure Gavin's been into the progressive politics for longer than Zach has.
Zach always mentions that. He's always like, oh, Gavin clued me onto this. Gavin clued me onto this. Gavin clued me onto this. He's constantly talking about that. I feel like, it seems as if Gavin was like, I need a personality to help me anchor this. And he chose a completely charismaless freaking goon that just goes on 15-minute long diatribes about nothing. And just
Gavin's not listening to him. When Zach goes on a diatribe,
100%.
At the end,
bro. 100%.
100%. Totally, dude. Fucking whatever 100%. You said, definitely that, dude.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It makes so much sense that Zach is a former theater kid because he's just all he's doing is just performing the entire time.
Well, it's funny too because he's a bartender, but now the channel's taking off. He didn't say he just quit bartending. He didn't say he stopped bartending. He said he retired from bartending. So you can see how in his mind, he has a head full of steam right now. We are catching him at his most. Their views are already not what they were compared to even 3 or 4 days ago after doing the TYT Exodus. So we are catching him at his highest egotistical persona right now that's ever existed on the internet.
Wow, I would love for Patrick of October 2023 and this douchebag to hang out right now because they'd be real good friends, real delusional together, snorting freaking lines of Adderall. Be great.
A full-on drama guard, a gutter guard, a TMZ guard. I don't give a what you guys call it. We're swearing in the first 2 minutes because we don't care. We're ungovernable. We never took Polymarket.
Dude, I just made a video a couple months ago about all leftists are boomers. Since Trump won, these people don't know how to connect with the average human being, and he's trying to say that like we're edgy and cool and we're swearing at the beginning of the video, even though I'm pretty sure they just censored some swears. Like it's
and
so
why
delusional.
this is once again like if you're an alpha man, if you're like the ultimate type of man, you don't know no one who is ever like a good man and can be like capable of being a good man talks about being an alpha. Anyone who's edgy or anything like that
just
doesn't talk about being edgy. Yeah, you just do it. Like he's narrating it. I mean, I don't think he does it in this one, but he talks about how he's like a street rat at one point, and he has hand tattoos, so he'll bite
that's
someone's
this one.
face.
Yeah,
is it? Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
yeah.
Looking forward to that. That's gonna be good.
There's two of the best Zach Spurgs I've ever seen are in this, so let's try and get down to it.
He goes nuts on that one. It's bad.
It's money we never took. Jeffrey Katzenberg's money. We are free men to tell you the truth. And we're going to do so. How are you on this lovely afternoon, Gavin?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. And we were talking a little bit before the show started, Zach. Usually December is kind of a slow month on YouTube, at least for politics. Now, obviously, every year we don't have an election in November. So I guess that's why this December has...
Gavin, Zach Spurgs emotionally. Gavin puts me... He's like a... MSNBC, but the C stands for communist anchor. He's like corporate communism 100%. He's completely flatlined. Before something is about to be discussed, he primes the audience for like a straight minute of, I thought it was going to be this, and it was good because me and you talked beforehand, and, I'm really excited about what we're going to talk about. We're going to cover a lot of ground, and it's all propaganda. It is not interesting. No new ground is ever discovered.
Their dynamic kind of reminds me of George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino's dynamic in From Dusk Till Dawn. Like, what's the douchebag with the long hair? What's his name again?
Gavin.
Like Gavin's like George Clooney's character who's trying to keep his retarded, possibly sociopathic brother under control, and then Zach, in between snorting lines of Adderall and recording YouTube videos, is like suffocating hookers in his room because they acted like inappropriately. That's the vibe these two give me. Like,
I'm not gonna deny. Absolutely not. They are a great tag team. I will never take that away from them. Okay.
Terrible.
It's been so spicy, but holy shit, guys, we keep trying to take a day off, wake up. Insane stuff to cover.
Whatever, bro.
So here we are again, and welcome back to the show, everyone. Make sure to smash that like button if you're just tuning in.
100%.
This might be the single most unhinged meltdown that we've reacted to yet from the Young Turks. Trust me. I know that sounds hyperbolic. We've seen some crazy stuff. We've seen shit that I never expected. We've seen new lows, every single day, right? There is no bottom for the Young Turks, but this might be the craziest yet. I'll wait for you to, be the judge of that, Zach, but wow, this was wild.
On Twitch, I have to say I'm grateful for the work over the years. I first seen your show 12 years ago while I was in college. Wow, that's awesome. Thank you. That being said, doing these personal grievance politics all day is not productive. Taking money from something adjacent to Peter Thiel is likely on par or less than constant gripes with the left/Cedars.
He's talking about the Polymarket Studios, which is a gambling website where you're allowed to gamble on things like what's going to happen in politics or whether or not a sports outcome is going to happen or anything under the sun like that. You cannot legally bet on elections in America with Polymarket, which I think is hilarious. And then he went so far as to call it the Polymarket Studio. So really, he's just whoring himself out for cash from Peter Thiel.
Yep. Yes. Every time they go live on the Young Turks, Cenk says, live from the Polymarket Studio.
/streamer.
Like, that is embarrassing that he's saying live from the Polymarket Studio. The Young Turks spent $400,000 on a studio. It's like, you're on the internet. You don't have to spend money on a brick and mortar operation. Okay, that's just so Cenk Uygur can feel important.
Exactly. And he is the same vibes when he ran for president, which was just like a glorified book tour. But
yeah.
I mean, like, I'm assuming like once they set up this market, once they set up this huge studio and try to make themselves look very legit, and then hired all these anchors, well, like, it's been a couple of years and their viewership has been declining like crazy for the last few years. So I'm assuming that's what they probably had to take that money in order to stay in business. It's probably their only option.
No, dude, it's way worse than that. So you know that they're syndicated on like streaming apps, so like YouTube TV or like Pluto TV. So they have like a channel on there that runs their programs. And do you want it? I have a video of it. This is how closely I follow these things. Instead of there being a commercial, there's a timer for 2 minutes that just says TYT will be right back. So they can't even fill ad space. And this is over a year ago I have this video. So it's not a commercial, it's just we'll be right back. They can't fill 2 minutes of advertisements. Like, they are not sustaining their business. Which for progressives is like, at least a smart progressive is like, oh, we can't make money and then we'll get shit for it. We also don't know how to manage money, so we need to do the Hassan thing, the Vosh thing, the Vanguard thing, and just sit there. And that's what they should do. If you're gonna be a progressive, don't have a fucking network, for the love of God.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you don't know how to operate a business and you don't have a sustainable business model. Like, but I mean, once again, this just goes to Cenk's ego. It's all about his ego.
I thought this was supposed to be homo progressive. So let me just address both of those things. So Sam's doing the same thing that every person or show that's attacked us through the last 20 years.
Sam Cedar?
Right?
Okay. So Cenk is used to doing this to the right wing, okay? Any criticism that we've gotten is in bad faith. And that's worked toward the right wing. So now he's trying to do it toward the communists, okay? And the communists are like, oh, you dumb fuck. That only works if you're doing it in service to the revolution, you fucking moron. Like, we're gonna swarm you right now. Like,
yeah, exactly. And because, right, they're communists, they're progressives, they're leftists. So, you know, like, anything that anyone on the right says is going to be deemed as immediately inherently bad faith. Reactionary, bad faith, all bad, evil. Whereas it's not going to work against Sam Cedar, especially with, you've talked about it with Sam Cedar's reputation. I mean, he literally just brings in communists and leftists as like the people that are helping him run the operation. He's viewed as this, almost like he's viewed as a progressive, but as a more mainstream
milquetoast
kind of
center left kind of guy, because he never comes out and says it, which is communist. Communists never come out and say what their political beliefs are. So I mean,
but
it's
then he's just surrounded by overt communists. Yeah, it's hilarious.
Well, that's the irony, is that they will try to do guilt association against everyone on the right. I mean, Trump's dad was near a neo-Nazi protest and someone got arrested and they tried to liken Trump's father to a Nazi, okay?
Yeah.
But meanwhile, they can be surrounded by communism, and these useless idiots, if either push far left shit, or if you're going to go on the right-wing platform, say there is an issue with communists and people on the far left, and, you know, we're liberal, but we're on the left, and I know that you're on the right, and hopefully we, like, acknowge it. Acknowledge the communists. Yeah. They're the ones that are trying to kill you.
Yeah, I know. They want to kill them and destroy their business. And imagine if they actually did that. Because very rarely do you have somebody defecting from the left that will overtly be like, oh, yeah, no, they're a bunch of communists at this point. That never happens. It never happens in this space.
I'd even settle for too progressive. I'd settle for anything.
Well, far left, for extreme radical left,
Fringe.
they say.
Yeah, I want communists. I retract what I just said.
Yeah, you need communists.
He'll analogize me to a Nazi, and then when I fight back, he'll go, oh my God, I can't believe it. He's making it so personal.
Sam Cedar has never called Cenk a Nazi.
Yeah, I mean, I just called him a Nazi.
I was about to say, we've reviewed a couple clips now of Sam Cedar calling out Cenk and Anna. I don't recall him referring to Cenk as a Nazi or as
it's never happened.
Nazi.
Here's why Gavin's the handler. Zach says that never happened. We have plausible deniability, Gavin coming in and going, well, I've never heard it. That's going to be a reoccurring theme as well. So he bats clean up. He's PR for Zach. Zach can go off the handle, and then Gavin comes in and goes, well, I've never heard it. I mean, it probably hasn't happened, but I've never heard it. He's always looking for that plausible deniability.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
I mean, Yeah,
I will go to the mats and vouch for Sam Seder. I don't know the guy that well, but I have interacted with him, and I've watched enough of his content to know that that's not going to be the first insult that he slings, okay? If you know anything about Sam Seder, Nazi's not probably the first one that he's going to go to with a guy like Cenk Uygur.
Now, all of a sudden, he named me. He's not allowed to name me. He's the one doing division. I mean, Majority Report spent the last year attacking us. And now all of a sudden they're catching feelings? No. So guys, if you hate that kind of stuff, we do it the least. We only do it after someone goes after us for about a
BS. Do you remember, Zach, when they called out good friend of the show, loyal friend of the show, Kyle Kalinske, and burnt the bridge because he wouldn't take their side enough in a feud they were.
What I love is that Kyle Kalinske and Cenk Uygur started Justice Democrats, which got AOC elected, okay? These leftists cannot even stand each other. How do you expect your political interlocutors to ever want to break bread with you? And they still do it. They'll still have people on the left on. And it's like, you people cannot even get along with each other. So how can you expect anyone else to want to get along with you? That's always in the forefront of my brain.
Yeah, I agree with that. And also, I mean, what you're seeing, it's hard for me to like actually look at Cenk and Anna and think they're being just like good faith.
Right.
I do like, I mean, I do think that maybe they're being slightly truthful about wanting to abandon a more extreme aspect.
You want to know what it's like? It's like, you ever do the ball shot game when you were a kid? Either you hit someone in the balls first or they hit you in the balls first.
Yeah.
And then at a certain point, you call truce, right? Anna and Cenk started the ball shots and then they want to call a truce. It's like, no, we have to give you a ball shot and then there's a fucking truce, okay?
And I mean, and look at like conservatives betray each other, but it's usually over like personal stuff. Like this is all like ideological, right? They just think that the Cenk and Anna think the left have gone too far, and that's
more interesting to me than the personal stuff.
Yes, absolutely, and I also think this would happen on the left a lot more than the right. Because what's the right? Right? If you're actually the right, you just conserve, right? There's nothing. You're not trying to move towards anything. You might be trying to move back a little bit to rewind the clock to
hold on.
things that have been lost.
People on the right are not quoting like Adam Smith to each other. Okay, they're not quoting scholars to each other about how they should behave.
But on the left, though, like, right, the dialectic keeps progressing regardless. So the revolution will always keep continuing, which I would assume is why a lot of these people end up betraying each other over ideological reasons, because eventually someone's going to be like, hold on. Yeah, so eventually someone's going to be like, hold on, I think we're going a little bit too far. But the real ardent leftists and communists know that you can never go too far because it never ends. It just keeps going.
Well, it's funny because one of the ACP members, I can't say leader, I can't say owner, I can't say CEO, I can't say chairman, whatever the guy is in the American Communist Party, wrote a book called The Purity Fetish. And that's like the traditional communists being like, this purity fetish is out of control. There is like, stop trying to be pure, only listen to us and nobody else. They are the ultimate purity is how they solve that.
I know, I love that. It's projection. It's hilarious. Oh my gosh.
We're doing with Jimmy Dore that was going on. Remember, he kind of tried
his best to be Switzerland.
He tried his best to be nice to both parties and to bring them back together. He put out a 40-minute video saying, hey, Cenk, hey, Jimmy, put this BS aside. Let's make amends. Let's be friends again. This is annoying and stupid and dumb. Let's stop. And Cenk's response and Anna, both of their response for multiple years was to completely ostracize Kyle, to cut him off and to diss him live on air whenever they could. Now, Kyle's a bigger man. He's a mature adult. He eventually...
Kyle Kalinske is the bigger man and a mature adult. Now, I do have, when they covered Kyle Kalinske talking about this as well. So we're not just going to watch this entire thing the entire time because I need to.
That's good.
I got to put some Kyle in here.
I've been watching so much Kyle. I've probably been watching as much Kyle Kalinske.
I know
as
you
the
keep
Vanguard.
sending me a clip.
I hate him.
I'm like, why are you watching that?
I hate Kyle Kalinske. He's just, I hate. You see what he does? Like, I mean, there's so many terrible things.
Hold on. We'll get to it. All right, we are off to a very slow start.
We do, bro.
We're off to a slow start. Okay.
100%.
Was able to squash that beef, but still to act like they don't engage in petty drama and name calling, complete BS. They literally punish disloyal friends of the show whenever.
I'm so sorry. I love how in the beginning it's like, yeah, we'll swear, and this dude's like, complete BS, bro. Complete BS.
People dare to speak out or criticize.
100%.
years
100%.
straight. Finally go,
literally.
Yeah. And so this is a post game, so I can say it. So finally, after somebody does it 1,000 times, we're like, all right, fuck it. Here's who's doing it, and fuck them, right?
Yeah.
And then everybody's like, oh no, I can't believe you're saying that about poor Jimmy Dore. I can't believe you're saying that about poor Dave Rubin. I can't believe you're saying that about.
Which is so funny because those are your new bedfellows. Actually, when we heard the last clip from Sam. That on the Majority Report, he talks about how one of the early grievances he had with Cenk was that Cenk was mad at Sam for roasting Jimmy Dore for pivoting to the right. He was like, don't go after Jimmy. Come on, man. And he's like, I'm sorry, bro, but me and Michael are going to go after him because it's funny. It's great content. And he's saying right-wing propaganda that I don't agree with.
Yep. Get ready for this, guys.
Yeah.
And then everybody's like, oh, no, I can't believe you're saying that about poor Jimmy Dore. I can't believe you're saying that about poor Dave Rubin. I can't believe you're saying that about poor Sam Cedar. I know. Poor Sam. Okay, so anyways,
trying to compare Sam to Dave Rubin and Jimmy Dore is peak projection, Gavin.
Yes, literal peak projection. Holy shit. You guys are the new.
He didn't compare. He was just talking about a group of people. Like, they need to constantly be closing in on he compared Sam Cedar to Dave Rubin. Like, I don't think that Cenk Uygur thinks that Dave Rubin and Sam Cedar are like politically similar at all in any capacity.
No, I mean, I think he's just he is lumping in Sam Cedar with Dave Rubin, but it's more so that he's lumping them in.
There's more than one way to lump people into a group.
Yeah, exactly. that being ideologically similar.
It's people that are attacking him is the group of people.
Yeah, exactly. Although it is a little bit of. I mean, because he is the reason why 2IT is being attacked is because they are making a similar push that Jimmy Dore and that others have done. So there is a bit of projection here, but yeah.
Dave Rubin / Jimmy Dore. That's why the Majority Report has to talk about you at all. In fact, they should be talking about you more. Look how many videos they did about Jimmy. You know what I'm saying? Look how many videos they did about Dave Rubin. They're going easy on you. They have the kid.
Oh yeah, he's fidgeting.
They don't even want to talk about you.
What's he doing?
Yeah, you have the nerve to call them the Jimmy Dore / Dave Rubin of this dynamic. What outrageous projection!
Yes, they're going to try to trick you into thinking we started it when they've been punching us for a year straight. And if it bothers you that
Emma literally said that me being talking about being sexually assaulted by a homeless guy, you know, that's the kind of titillating stuff that we like to talk about. Titillating.
Now, Emma Vigeland uses the word titillating when she's trying to antagonize her interlocutors, okay? She did it on Tim Pool, where like you people find this titillating. Like if they're talking about trans stuff, she'll say it's titillating, like you're getting something sexual out of it, okay?
Yeah, it's the sort of the same thing. Like, why are you so obsessed with trans kids' genitals, et cetera,
okay,
type of thing.
So
yeah.
Emma Vigeland probably used the word titillating in a different conversation, but Anna Kasparian is doing the same bad faith thing the Young Turks have done for a decade that they're used to doing toward right-wingers, where she's combining two different conversations. I'm pretty sure Emma Vigeland didn't say it was titillating that she got sexually assaulted. So right now, Anna Kasparian is trying the same tactic that the Vanguard's using against her, but since she's being reactionary, she is going to lose this.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what there's no consistency. There's no actually holding anyone.
The consistency is toward the revolution. That's the only consistency.
Yes, exactly. There's no holding anyone to any sort of standard. The only standard is, right, like you said, what are you doing for the revolution? It doesn't matter what the everything else is just it's just nothing. It doesn't matter.
I feel a lot better. I've interacted with Emma, I think, more than I've interacted with Sam. Maybe about the same amount.
When he says interacted, does he mean like commenting on one of their videos? No, so he doesn't say talk to. He's interacted with them. He's trying to clout chase right now.
You know, that's all these guys are doing is trying to clout chase. They're trying to fill a vacuum and avoid the TYT is going to be leaving behind. So, I would assume that it's like him, like talking to them, like on, commenting on their Twitter, their X, and then them commenting.
When I've interacted with Sam, it makes me feel good to say when I interacted with Sam, when I interacted with Emma.
Yeah, I know, and they phrase things like that all the time. It's always about like sort of like what their status is.
Well, this is why it's really that's why it's really fun to watch the Vanguard, because their phrasing is very specific and very intentional.
Yeah, Yeah.
But I also feel pretty confident as a consumer of her content pretty regularly for work that never, ever, 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 ever happened. And what they're doing right now is just make.
You want to know what people usually say when something happened? It never, ever, 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 ever happened. Like if something didn't happen, you would just say, "Oh yeah, she didn't say that."
I know.
The overcompensation is hilarious to me. It just now I want to disagree with what I just said. Now it sounds like she did say it, but he doesn't know what she said. He just knows he has to go to bat as soon as possible, as hard as possible, and swing for a home run.
And you also have to look at everything that Zach does through the lens of that he's probably on meth as he's doing this.
Yeah.
You have to. You have to.
That philosophical razor.
Just look at his eyes.
Horrible things about Emma Vigeland, who, at least in our experience, has gone out of her way to be nice to Anna Kasparian, okay? She's never, never really taken our bait when we tee her up and we're like, do you want to, like, I'm just saying, like, Emma has always been very cordial, very above, the gutter and the fray, and tried her best to be really polite and talked about how it's painful.
I didn't catch that. It sounds like they've gone at her. I'll have to do some digging on that on a later day.
I would assume that sometimes they question her on things. Maybe if they slightly
the most
disagree.
Gentle pushback, exactly. They'll equivocate these two things. Where calling someone an outlandish insult is the same thing as gentle pushback on a topic.
Yeah, exactly.
Painful because she really believed in the Young Turks mission when she was getting started, and she's grateful for the opportunities that she had for like TYT Investigates and all that kind of stuff.
Yep. It's an outrageous smear. It's an outrageous smear. Emma Vigeland was talking about the general tough on crime kind of Fox News framing that has infected the Young Turks and the way that they go about discussing every single story. That's what she talked about as being titillating. Not Anna Kasparian sharing a sensitive story like that. Obviously not. I mean, what an outrageous thing to take out of context and apply to something that it in fact was not in reference to, only to smear someone who's not there to defend themselves to an audience of idiots.
How is everyone in the conversation right and wrong at the same time? I'm agreeing and disagreeing with both parties constantly. My brain doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, I mean, my brain shuts down often when I'm watching them.
It's for the most part. I mean, let's be honest. If you're a TYT diehard to this day, I'm sorry, but you're not exactly. Anyway, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is outrageous. Yeah. What an absolute joke. That's just a disgusting lie, an absolute smear, and they're doing exactly what they accuse their left-wing critics of doing to them.
100%. And if you remember, guys, 100%. When Cenk first 100%. Ran, maybe it was when he endorsed Bernie Sanders. I can't remember. They tried to run a hit piece on him and say that he told David Duke, of course you're not a racist, right? Was it David Duke or was it one of the other white supremacist guys?
David Duke.
Yeah. And everybody ran it out of context, and he was obviously mocking David Duke for saying that I'm not a racist. He's like,
you would think, this is a perfect example. You would think, as a progressive in 2024, you would know who David Duke is. He's like, David Duke or like some other white nationalists. David Duke is a pretty OG KKK member.
Yeah, and especially with how like superficial their analysis is of everything, right? They're just basically like, okay, David Duke, KKK, white supremacist, and Hitler. Like, how do you not?
But you'll notice that Gavin knew it was David Duke, and so Zach pops off the handle, and then Gavin's there to back clean up.
Yeah. You know what? It's interesting because Gavin too. I wonder. We were talking about antidepressants. He's also a giant pothead. So I wonder if he's constantly high.
I don't know what about his demeanor or speech would possibly suggest a thing like that.
He has like no affectations.
That's why it feels like antidepressant. That's why it feels like a Zoloft or a.
Yeah, it's probably both.
Yeah.
Like, oh, of course you're not a racist, right? That is the kind of smear that Anna is doing right now to Emma Vigeland, right? And even worse, because it's not even a direct quote. She's completely misrepresenting the argument. And Anna is supposed to be, guys, we say this a lot because it's so baffling, it'll break your brain. Go ahead and Google it. I had to the first time I heard it. Anna has taught a journalism class. She considers herself to be a professor of
rare-based Zach W. I was thinking the same thing when I was making a video on Anna Kasparian. I'm like, you have a journalism, you teach journalism, and you're so oblivious to everything around you.
Yeah, and hey, once in a while, a little gem is going to slide in there. Most of their critiques of the Young Turks are completely dishonest and trash because they're critiquing them from a leftist perspective, and they're trying to paint them as not as ideologically pure. But once in a while, this crackhead meth head is going to get something right, you know?
Of journalism, even though she doesn't do any bit of journalism. She doesn't do a goddamn thing that's journalistic.
True.
Okay, when was the last time she did any investigation? When was the last time
Fair
she
enough.
interviewed people on the street? You know what I'm saying? Oh, you talk to
100%.
people on your show? Well, then Gavin and I, Silly and Billy, are just as journalistically credentialed
Look at
as
his
Anna
eyes.
Kasparian and
Oh
Jake.
my God, his eyes.
If that's your threshold for being a journalist professor, maybe we should go look for some adjunct.
You know,
work on the
somebody
weekends.
there's another episode. I've watched so much Vanguard material over this
Dude,
last week
I know.
that it's all blending together. But there's another episode where somebody says that Zach essentially looks like a different version of Peter Dinklage, and I can't unsee it now. Like, I'm pretty sure that he's not standing. He's
Hold
not
on.
sitting on that
Did
chair.
you-
He's not sitting on that chair right now. He is standing on that chair.
Did you
He's
ever
fucking
see the Rocky Dennis movie with Eric Stoltz?
No. Wait. Oh,
He's got like
with Cher?
elephantitis.
Yeah, with Cher. Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and
The
his
mask.
face is
It's called
all
Mask.
yeah, his face is all fucked up. Did you
Yeah,
see the
he's
scene?
kinda like that.
Did you see the scene where he looks in the funhouse mirror and it makes his face normal?
Yeah, a long
Yeah.
time ago.
Right. So Peter Dinklage looks in a funhouse mirror and it's Zach.
You
It's the
see
reflection
Zach?
on the other end.
Zach sees Peter Dinklage.
In the mirror in Mirrorland.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yep.
Me being like talking about being sexually assaulted by a homeless guy, that's the kind of titillating stuff that we like to talk about. Titillating.
It took you
Fucking
forever.
titillating.
It took
Okay,
you forever
titillating.
to say it
Yeah.
on air.
Okay, I've never talked about that on the show. I've never called her out on the show for saying that disgusting comment. Okay, I'm calling her out now. And I also think arguing that you should sit on a train and be literally assaulted, punched in the face by someone because they might be having a mental episode, but you shouldn't.
She's defending murder right now. She is defending vigilante, cold-blooded murder after the guy walked.
This part
Yeah.
makes me so mad.
And why is that, Patrick? Because I have a clip lined up for this part right now.
I just the fact that he's just going to lie and say
What
that
do you
what
mean
Daniel
lie?
Daniel Penny did to Jordan Neely is murder
Yeah,
is so evil.
I know.
It's hard to comprehend.
My
so evil.
autism is way more pedantic than your autism, though. So
Makes
let's
me
go
so mad.
forward.
Away scot-free. This is a woman who wants to fearmonger about crime in New York City.
Look at his
A
eyes.
man strangled
His eyes.
another individual to death on the subway, and she wants to
He's
congratulate him and talk about, oh, thank God somebody's finally doing something.
So, like, these are the kinds of things that are said about Anna Kasparian from the left, and then they're like, oh, these people are pieces of shit, and he's like, I was just critiquing what you said. Like, listen to how inflammatory he's being. She wants murder, and he strangled someone, and it's as emotionally loaded as humanly possible, and completely projecting all of it onto her, which complete straw man, not what she said, not what she wanted, anyone that disagrees with them. So, like, this is him not saying it. This is him in praxis. Anyone that disagrees with the revolution, he's allowed to act out in this way and say whatever he wants. And then Gavin's going to be able to clean up for him. It's so Zach is the rough draft. His eyes are insane. Zach is the rough draft. And then Gavin is the finished product.
Always, yeah. Gavin always comes in, swoops in at the end to actually make a clarifying point to cut through the nonsense of Zach's meth-induced gibberish.
Something to stop the crime. You're literally cheerleading murder, Anna.
Complain about that is stupid. I thought that point that she made was stupid.
She
Been dying to say that forever. Stupid. Okay, that's not the type of politics that wins people over. Most people don't want to be punched in the face by someone who's severely mentally ill and probably should be.
Emma's point was not that she wanted to be punched in the face. I don't even think she said she was punched in the face. I think she said.
I don't even think she said she was punched in the face. Okay. Well, what if I get him dead to rights, okay? I don't even think she said that. Let's see what she said.
I wonder.
At one point, sitting on the subway by a man who was having a mental health episode. He sat next to me, and he was elbowing and kind of flailing around, and hit me in the face and in my body.
And Emma
What do you
Vigland
know?
herself said she got hit in the face.
In the face. Is this where she goes on to talk about how she just let it happen?
Yeah, and it's bougie.
Most people don't want to be punched in the face by someone who's severely mentally ill and probably should be.
Emma's point was not that she wanted to be punched in the face. I don't even think she said she was punched in the face. I think she said like some guy who was suffering from a mental episode on a train was maybe being a little bit unwieldy, but she didn't say.
Look at the way Zach wears his hat.
Yes, he wants the fluff. He's a cartoon character. He's a cartoon avatar.
It is, and the hat is purely aesthetic. It is not about being warm. It is purely for hipster doofus aesthetics. It makes me so mad.
So we're gonna go full narcissist prayer right now, okay? It didn't happen. So we're starting off on it didn't happen.
Say she got literally punched in the face, did she? No, I don't remember that. And even if she did, the point was not that like that's cool.
And even if she did say that, what is the point of saying they didn't say it if you're just going to say, well, even if she did say it, here's what she meant.
Yeah.
Loved when that happened. Her point was not that everyone should just accept it when it happens. Her point was that when something like that happens, the correct response is not to murder the mentally ill homeless person.
Murder.
Like that's pretty clearly her point.
100%.
100%.
Well, I'm pretty sure that Anna's point is that working class people, the workers, the proletariat, doesn't want to get punched in the face. I'm pretty sure that was Anna's point. And what most people's point is, the takeaway.
And then Jordan Neely was threatening to punch like women and other people on like the freaking subway. So it's like,
I know, but Patrick, have you considered that he didn't touch anyone? And that's their argument. But he didn't do it. He only said he was gonna do it. I'm not hitting you. I'm just waving my hand in your face. They're children.
He didn't get a chance to do it. RD, because he was murdered.
Dude, in Vosh's in Vosh's debate with Desi about Kyle Rittenhouse, the fact that Gage Grosskreutz held a gun to Kyle's face was proof that he wasn't going to shoot him because he held a gun to his face and didn't pull the trigger.
That's insane.
And that was 2020, so you have to think about that, right? Because they're leftists, they're communists, they have no honor, no integrity. If the roles were reversed, it would be the complete opposite. If somebody had been aiming a gun, if Kyle Rittenhouse had been aiming a gun at Grosskreutz or whatever, and Vosh was commenting on it, Vosh would say the exact opposite because the context of the situation has been changed and it no longer favors him. Pure identity. That is the point of protected classes, and protected classes are not liberal. They have never been liberal. They have never been in the pursuit of liberalism. Protected classes have always been communist because they get protection, in case you couldn't tell. Even if a kid says they're trans, they already have protection. They're already protected. Because then there's going to be a culture that's going to look at you like, oh, well, the kid knows. That's how deep the protected classes go.
Yep.
It's crazy that Anna just came out and confessed that every single belief she has is about like her own personal grievances. It's a politics of personal grievances and resentment, and it's what we always say about the Republican Party. Not only in this live stream that's only 42 minutes long have we documented her saying that she doesn't believe there's anything to be an activist for, as we're watching children being starved and slaughtered overseas, as the world careens closer to climate disaster, as we just had the hottest year ever on record, as we just watched Donald Trump take power again, as we have women who can't, or people rather, get mad at me, I said people, who can't get access to abortions, Anna. That's a real fucking problem to me. That's reproductive health care. That's a freedom issue that I fucking care about.
Look at the veins in his forehead.
Family separations. We're about to see documented, legal, birthright citizens of this country booted from the nation that I live in. It's fucked up and wrong, and I want to protest that. And don't call me a crazy lunatic activist because I don't want people see people gunned down in the street. After we watched the single largest protest movement in American history come out and say defund the police, I think that's where the American people are at, Anna. I don't think it's a controversial take.
Holy shit!
Whew, let's go.
Politics.
What? Did you see the deflation of manic energy when he literally? You gotta rewind it a little bit. I need to see the end of that. His entire body deflated like somebody turned off the air on the wacky inflatable arm waving two men outside
Patrick,
of a fucking car
what if I
dealership.
told you that I've seen that Spurg over 20 times, but I've technically only seen it 10 times because every single time I've seen it, I've watched it back. I've never watched that once, that Spurg right there.
Grievances and resentment, and it's what we always say about the Republican Party. Not only in this live stream that's only 42 minutes long have we documented her saying that she doesn't believe there's anything to be an activist for, as we're watching children being starved and slaughtered overseas, as the world careens closer to climate disaster, as we just had the hottest year ever on record, crazier. As we just watched Donald Trump take power again, as we have women who can't, or people rather, get mad at me, I said people, who can't get access to abortions, Anna. That's a real fucking problem to me. That's reproductive health care. That's a freedom issue that I fucking care about. We're about to see mass family separations. We're about to see documented, legal, birthright citizens of this country booted from the nation that I live in. It's fucked up and wrong, and I want to protest that. And don't call me a crazy lunatic activist, because I don't want people see people gunned down in the street. After we watch the single largest protest movement in American history come out and say, defund the police. Yeah, I think that's where the American people are at, Anna. I don't think it's a controversial take.
Let's go.
I'm just going to do one more short
this
rewind.
Live stream that's only 42 minutes long have we documented her saying that she doesn't believe there's anything problem to me. That's reproductive.
So the look in his eyes as he's saying to not call him crazy,
I know,
is peak irony. Okay.
No, it's terrifying.
Healthcare. That's a freedom issue that I fucking care about. We're about to see mass family separations. We're about to see documented, legal, birthright citizens of this country booted from the nation that I live in. It's fucked up and wrong, and I want to protest that. And don't call me a crazy lunatic activist, because
this is the face.
Look at the squint.
He starts squinting his eyes. Don't call me a crazy lunatic activist. As he starts, he has like anime eyes right now, like he's gonna be in a cutscene.
And like Gavin just sits there and just like lets him do it.
Gotta
and then
be
just acts as if it's completely freaking normal.
I don't want people see people gunned down in the street. After we watched the single largest protest movement in American history come out and say, defund the police. Yeah, I think that's where the American people are at, Anna. I don't think it's a controversial take.
Also, the American people are not behind defund the police. That is a leftist narrative that was pushed by some institutions with leftists inside and manufactured and pushed forward by leftists that were influencing those institutions. Like 95, it was a 95, a high percentage of black people were against defund the police. Defund the police.
Well, they're the ones that get hurt
movement.
by other, because I mean, most violence is intraracial within the same race. It's like 95% black people, 85% white people. It's usually the same race. Which you think would debunk the racism argument wholesale.
Yes, the good upstanding black citizens in those cities are being killed by the insane, depraved, and crime-driven black people in those cities, just like how it's happening to white people in other areas,
rural
not
areas.
At the same rate.
Hold on,
not at the same rate.
So it happens to black people a lot. A lot of black people live in cities. They live in rural areas too, but a lot of white people live in rural areas. So there's still crazy, toothless, methed up white people, but it's just not in a city. So it's easier to report like 10 of these things happening in a single city than it is 10 different incidents in 10 different states and 10 different towns.
Crazy toothless meth heads sounds like what Zach's future is going to hold after he quit the freaking restaurant, or excuse me, retired from being a bartender, and after his podcast fails is what
politics that wins people over. Most people don't want to be punched in the face by someone who's severely mentally ill and probably should be institutionalized if they're acting that way in public and harming others.
She said it was bougie to complain.
Yeah.
Well,
nothing's more bougie than some elitist telling people, working class people trying to get to and from work, that they should accept being punched in the face.
That's true. No, I've come to understand that the people who say things like that, they're actually the wealthy, and they've never lived in the real world.
Guys, did you guys see Cenk bragging about being at a Miami resort on Twitter like 3 days ago? And he was like, wow, where am I? Like, this was awesome. Thanks, Patrick Bet David, for making sure that I, had an excuse to fly down here. I don't know anything about, being wealthy. I'm just a working class blue collar Joe.
It's bougie to think that homeless people shouldn't get murdered for being mentally ill in public.
Is that what
every
they said?
working class person?
Is that what they said, Gavin?
See,
you stupid little evil cunt.
These are the good faith criticisms that Anna just can't stand to hear.
I know, and I love how like they're like, why won't Anna and Cenk talk to us? Why won't they talk to Francesco Florentini? It's like, because you're demonic sociopaths who are bad faith. Like, who would want to talk to them? Who would want to talk to them?
It's a bourgeois concern to not want to get punched in the face by a homeless person on the subway.
Turned into.
Yeah, go ahead.
Turned into it's bourgeois to not, what did he say? It's bourgeois to not kill a man on the subway?
Murder. No. Murder. Premeditated. Titillating murder.
I just love that they'll criticize Anna. Yeah, you just said titillating. I love that they'll criticize Anna for like misattributing the titillating part in terms of the context, and then they'll just completely not even take her out of context, just freaking lie like immediately after. Doesn't matter.
Person I know just is super horny to round up and exterminate mentally ill homeless people whenever they have an episode in public.
Hurting homeless people makes her horny. I don't know how she could have possibly gotten her wires crossed and said that. So hold on. Wasn't the whole thing like, no, Emma didn't say that it was titillating.
Yeah, I know. And now we're saying that it makes her horny. Dude, Emma Bigelow is a troll. She is oh man.
They all are.
They're terrible people. Goblins.
Like what? And again, no one likes getting affected by that. No one likes having to see homeless people at all. Why? Because they're freaking homeless and it's tragic. It's a freaking human rights abuse that you have to literally
We're swearing and he keeps saying frickin' like he's a boomer.
You're right. And also listen to what they said. It's a human, what did he say? It's a travesty, a human it's abuse. They're communists, right? So nobody actually has any free will because they don't believe in God. They're secular, atheistic, materialists, so they don't believe in free will. There's no God. Nobody actually has any control of their own life. It's an abuse for there to be a homeless person, as if that person didn't make choices that possibly led him there. Yeah, sure, they might be like mentally ill. That's another situation. But they literally just believe people do not have free will and don't have any control over their own lives. It's hilarious.
Well, that's the thing. But that's why it was so easy, like in the 60s, to really take advantage of the identity groups. And class was very limiting. Because we see that, like, well, he's homeless, and in the Oppression Olympics hierarchy, you cannot criticize that person, even if they're swinging at you.
Yeah.
Front, when you walk outside in this country. Obviously, no one likes that. No one wants it. But the solution is not to kill them?
It's like judicial murder.
Is that really some radical position? Like, yeah, I would also prefer to live in a country with 0% homeless people, obviously. Because I want those people to have homes and lives and happiness and the ability to make it in this country like we do. But to say that we should, like, it's radical to say we should just, like, not kill them. Okay.
World. So that's why they keep saying things like crime is imaginary and it's a right-wing framing, because they don't live in Oakland and they don't live in a working class neighborhood.
Yes, I do. I live in Kansas City, Missouri, you asshole. We're recording out of Columbus Park. Fucking Google it, okay? When Gavin and I hatched the idea for this fucking Vanguard.blog, I was living in a shithole dump behind.
So, Cenk is talking about something in general, and they try to say, like, Anna, it's a politics of personal grievances. Cenk is talking about something in general, and of course Zach applies it to himself and makes it about a personal grievance. Cenk did not directly talk about you at all whatsoever.
Well, I mean, he
couldn't even go 10 minutes without doing the exact thing he accused Anna of doing.
Yeah, he's a narcissist, right? So I always love it when when these two will call other people narcissists all the time, and it cracks me up. It cracks me up so bad.
She's Jamaican. Google that, fucker.
Yeah. And as if you do live in Oakland, Cenk, like you live in the hood or something.
Fair enough,
bro. Literally, what are you talking about? Oh, I'm so connected with the working class people.
Get his ass.
Every day I talk to some poor guy who's really concerned about crime. Like, bro, and also no one said crime is imaginary. Literally, no one has said that on the left. Literally, no one. Find one person.
Oh my God! Look at that comment. Did you see that comment?
What was the comment?
It said, son of a building owner like Trump, eh? God, their fans are such fucking doofuses.
Well, I just love how, like, they can take out of context anything someone says. And then when when Cenk says crime is imaginary, obviously they didn't say crime is imaginary. They are denying that crime is as imminent of an issue as it actually is. But now he's like, no one said crime's imaginary. Well, Anna didn't say she wants to fucking flicker bean to homeless people being punched and fucking killed. Like, what the fuck? You can't win with these people.
No, you can't. Well, I mean, they're liars, right? And their entire political position and theology is based on denying objective reality. So it is almost impossible
Reality's
for them
a prison.
to be in good faith.
It's hermetic.
It's hermetic, it's Gnostic, and it is I mean, it's almost impossible for them to be good faith.
That has said crime is imaginary. All we've said is that crime is not going up, and that's a matter of fucking statistical fact. It's a matter of data and yes, truth, fact. What else do you want me to say? You want me to lie?
Crime is not going up. And boy, oh boy, what would we be doing if we did not have Elon Musk's Twitter?
Yeah, no
to be
shit.
able to share what's actually happening in society. And it's like, yeah, but look at what the data says. Your car gets stolen. And it's like, yeah, but look at but my car's been stolen twice in a week. Yeah, but look at the data. They did this with the George Floyd riots. They're like, yeah, but it's 93% peaceful. Is it 93% peaceful in Seattle, in Portland, Oregon, in New York City?
I know. In Chicago,
right?
It's also like, I think when you debated Queeman, and you were talking about like the different crime. I think it was Queeman, the different crime statistics, and about how the policies that are being the restorative justice policies that like put criminals back on the streets, that are very lax in terms of punishment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, how that's just going to cause harm. And Queeman's like, oh, well, we can't know that for several years. So it's like you have to implement terrible, bad policy that has no common sense, and you can't actually know what the result's going to be until a few years later. But that's like,
you have to be shot in the face before you can shoot someone in the face.
I know it's like abusing yourself for several years, and you don't see the long-term ramification of that until like 5 years later, and it's not actually happening until you actually see the ramifications of it. It's absurd. They're so stupid.
Like this is crazy,
guys. This is not a contest for who's poor, right?
100%.
But let me say this, because Cenk wants to be like, oh, no, you guys don't know anything. Literally, when what was it, a month and a half ago, 2 months? I mean, and then they just did another rally there like a week ago. Okay, Gavin and I, we didn't go, we were recording, unfortunately. But the KC tenants, they've been rallying outside of Quality Hill Towers. That was my fucking building, okay? I paid money to those fucking slumlords to have bugs crawl over the fucking walls, to have my bathroom flood, to have the fucking no.
I love how he says bugs crawling all over his walls, and that just makes him seem fucking dirty. Like, how is it your landlord's problem that you got bugs on your walls, buddy? Okay, you didn't contribute to that at all whatsoever, right?
Heat in the winter. Okay, so that is where I come from, bro. Okay, I have been through all of that shit. Okay, I know exactly what it's like to rent from a slumlord. I know exactly what it's like to be trapped in a lease. I know exactly what it's like to be like totally fucked because you could barely afford to pay for that place, let alone look for anywhere else. Okay, I have been in the absolute dumps of this country, in absolute downtown Kansas City. Okay, yeah, Gavin and I have come up, and now we have a nice place in still a working class fucking neighborhood. But it is absolutely unfucking believable to have the gall and sit here with a guy whose daddy made $60 million in a month, tell everybody else about how.
Yeah, why couldn't he be like Hassan?
That's a great pause.
Who has an equestrian picture of him when he was like 11 riding a horse in Turkey?
Also, have you noticed like Zach? So at first, when he starts screaming, his eyes get really, really insane and wide. And then halfway through, they almost get more dead and squinty. There's like different levels of his madness. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there.
It's up and down, up and down.
Yeah, that's true.
We don't know what it's like to be working class. I have fucking hand tattoos, asshole. I will fight you in the street and I will bite a chunk out of your cheek. I don't give a shit.
They haven't had their catalytic converter stolen.
I love what I can't remember Gavin. I love Gavin's laugh at the end. He's like, oh, 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 oh. Like he just loves Zach. Zach cracks him up so much.
But like, I have hand tattoos, asshole. See, I'm a piece of shit. Well, that's why they call themselves sewer. You know, they try and they have to be low level. They have to be beneath the bourgeoisie.
Exactly, and that's why they'll say that they're never going to take any sponsors, any donors, anything like that, because if they do that, then they sell out. Which is hilarious that like their ideology requires them to not be successful. It's amazing. I wonder why communism never works.
It keeps them oppressed because they'll stop fighting if their needs are taken care of. So it's built in that your needs won't be taken care of until you go to the communists, where they're extra not taken care of.
It's amazing. Also, I need you to rewind that rant again. I need to see that rant one more time with it.
To those fucking slumlords, to have bugs crawl over the fucking walls, to have my bathroom flood, to have the fucking no heat in the winter. Okay, so that is where I come from, bro. Okay, I have been through all of that shit. Okay, I know exactly what it's like to rent from a slumlord. I know exactly what it's like to be trapped in a lease. I know exactly what it's like to be like totally fucked because you could barely afford to pay for that place, let alone look for anywhere else. Okay, I have been in the absolute dumps of this country, in absolute downtown Kansas City. Okay, yeah, Gavin and I have come up, and now we have a nice place in still a working class fucking neighborhood. But it is absolutely unfucking believable to have the gall and sit here with a guy whose daddy made $60 million in a month. Tell everybody else about how we don't know what it's like to be working class. I have fucking hand tattoos, asshole. I will fight you in the street. I'll bite a chunk out of your cheek. I don't give a shit.
They haven't had their catalytic converter stolen, right? So they don't, and they're so rich that
hurts so bad because Gavin, we just have a personal memory with our van that we bought for this and the catalytic converter.
Apparently, that they're like, oh, my catalytic converter, even if it was stolen, who cares? I'll just get a new one. A working class person doesn't say, oh, who cares? I'll just get a new a car part. Oh, who cares? I got punched in the face. No, they're trying to get to work. It's not a bougie thing to try to get to work and not have your.
Fuck you, but Cenk is making a good point. What's a bourgeois concern is having your material resources hindered and being expected to ignore it. You're only allowed to ignore it if it's in service of the revolution.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a bourgeois concern. Oh yeah, it got stolen. So that's because of capitalism. No, it's because of that guy. You got punched in the face. Yeah. Homeless guy punched you in the face. It's because of capitalism. Probably the homeless guy punched me in the face is the issue I'd want to settle before capitalism.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shit stolen and your face punched. And it's not a pro-progressive position to be now at this point. They've gotten so crazy, they sound like they're pro-crime.
No, they are pro-crime, Cenk. They don't sound like they're pro-crime. Yes. They are pro-crime. So let's just be clear about that.
Yes.
Their politics differ from mine. That's it. Their politics differ from mine. I don't think that progressive politics.
Well, I guess one's fucking Marxist and the other one's capitalist, Anna. Have you solved it yet?
I know. I don't know what she's going, because I mean, the movement is going to leave her behind.
She's fucking stupid.
She's just a liar.
It's Hanlon's razor. Do not attribute to malice that which can be adequately explained by stupidity. She's not evil. She's this fucking stupid.
Yeah.
You can't even call it a grift. What's the grift? She's fucked on all angles.
I mean, I really want to know because, I know a lot of the times these people that, say there's no communists, I know that a lot of them are lying and they're just giving cover to them. So, I want to know what is going on behind her eyes.
We're in a society that fosters the sentiment of calling people that are not Nazis, and we cannot call people communists that call themselves communists. That's the grooming. There's grooming of trans kids, but this is the political grooming we've been going through for generations at this point.
Yeah.
It's so brazen and easy to see, but we're just not allowed to. That's crazy. Marxists, they don't know what a progressive is. They don't know there's no definitions to these terms anymore. We're just communicating in tones like dogs.
Yes, and I like your defining of grooming there, because so that stupid fat cow Karlin Borisenko, she says that no one's grooming kids, and she always says, she acts as if the only kind of grooming is like grooming to have sex with the kid for pedophilia.
Right.
That makes no sense. You could groom someone to take over a business.
In the Alec Gunter video I made, I went into detail on the differentiation between sexual grooming and just grooming in general.
Ideological grooming.
Yes.
There's grooming to take over a business. There's grooming. Like, there's all different kinds of grooming. So to act as if the grooming is just sexual is just either ignorant or dishonest. I'm not sure.
Subversive manipulation, essentially, is a placeholder for grooming if sex is involved with it. Yeah.
Politics should make the lives of working class people worse. I think that progressive politics should make people's lives better. And this argument that people should just be assaulted, punched in the face, and we should all just accept it because we just need to address root causes when no one's addressing root causes at all is laughable to me. And by the way, 2 more of the Tren de Aragua gang members from Aurora, Colorado just got arrested in New York City where they fled.
There needs to be a...
Okay, so... And on top, so this is what a normal person in their brain will listen to Anna Kasparian and go, yeah, and on top of it, they just caught another 2 illegal immigrant Venezuelan gang members. So let's see how the communists are going to combat this narrative, okay?
A laugh track on this. Like every time she pivots into something else, it's just
totally,
like we need a
100%. Like 100%.
Every time she pivots onto something else, these people cannot walk and breathe at the same time. It's giving multiple examples is pivoting to something different. They're not just talking about the revolution the entire time, so my fucking smooth brain can't follow what's being said.
Yes, laughter in the background. It's amazing.
It's crazy that she won't just pretend that she never talked about this, guys. That's how you know this woman is going through some sort of like psychological meltdown here because she's married to her bad takes. One sign of going on tilt in this business, that's what we kind of call it over here at the Casa del Vanguard. And
in this business, that's kind of what we call it. Dude, Zach thinks he's so big time already.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dude, he is going to fall so hard.
Yeah, been there. No, he's absolutely like picturing himself like a year ahead of where he is right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, that they see like Kyle Klinsky money in their future.
Kasparian's on tilt real bad, and she's married to her worst takes because she somehow thinks she can vindicate herself, right? It's kind of like when you go real bad down in the hole and you're just betting at everything because you're trying desperately to get yourself out of it. That's what she's doing, but she can't. She literally had to watch these guys just be regular assholes who she wants to surveil and keep under.
I'm sorry, what was the bad take she was married to? This is how it's all rhetoric and sophistry. What was her bad take?
Well, I don't even know. They didn't even address it. Is it the
laugh at her and say she has a bad take.
That the left likes crime? I don't even know. That's why they're so inane that I forget what they're actually talking about because they don't accurately comment on it because they don't actually have anything of depth to say. Like they're so...
no charges because apparently she loves freedom in this country and I don't know, fucking crazy. And then, they went to New York City and they got charged with something else that was unrelated to the propaganda I did see. I'm validated. It's crazy.
Yeah, and again, to act
that was crazy.
Like, again, make fun of us all you want, but to act like Sam Cedar and Emma Vigland's show is just like the pro-crime hour. Like you tune into the Majority Report and they're just like encouraging criminal activity.
She justified getting punched in the face by a homeless person and doing nothing. And that everyone should be able to get assaulted by a homeless person and not defend themselves.
Not expecting that you may be punched in the face on the subway is a bougie attitude, is what she said.
Yeah, so I don't know where the wires got crossed, but could you guys possibly see how she might seem that way?
Yeah, right? Kyle Rittenhouse can't, although TYT was very bad on him. Kyle Rittenhouse can't defend buildings, and he can't defend himself once he's being attacked with a gun. And then a man.
They were Black Lives Matter protesters, by the way. Those were protesters.
Yeah, protesters. But then a man cannot defend himself and others on a subway from a dangerous, deluded individual. How does that not come across as pro-crime?
I mean, but the right are hypocrites because they don't care. They all of a sudden have an issue with vigilante justice when it comes to Luigi, whatever his last name is.
Yeah, I love
executing a CEO in the back of his head. That's vigilante justice.
I love that. I love that. I love that. The fact that they compare Luigi Mangione to Daniel Penny, like it just really shows the differences.
These are the good faith criticisms from the progressive left. Okay.
Yeah, the left is completely fine with political assassinations. In fact, they think it's a good thing. And then the right overall is against that, even though they may disagree with their political opponents, their enemies, and they are in favor of people like not being like shit and pissed or choked or strangled or hit on the subway. Like the differences between the two sides cannot be more stark at this point.
And justifying the actions of whatever the latest criminal is, like, that's ridiculous. It's an utter straw man for the millionth time. And Cenk and Anna love to say that their left-wing critics lie about them, that they take them out of context to make up a straw man, when in reality that's all they can do in response.
No,
people like Sam and Emma, Zach and I, we sit down and have long substantive conversations.
Do you like that? People like Sam and Emma, Zach and I, you see the little association that right? Well, no, just climbing up that clout ladder. We're them, they're us, they're bigger, but we're on that side, man.
Yeah, no, we're already right there with the Majority Report. We have already made the big time. I also love how these two assholes pretend to like they act as if they offer substantive critiques about policy and all those other things. I never hear them say anything other than just talk shit.
They say
about
they talk policy.
Leftists.
It's so general, vague, nebulous. There's nothing behind it. But they're telling people that they are doing it, which is propaganda. But they're named after Lenin's Vanguard, which is specifically revolves around propaganda. So they're openly saying that they're a fucking propaganda outlet.
Yeah, and that's why this is why communism is allowed to proliferate. This is why it keeps coming back. Like, people will listen to them and take them at face value while not actually understanding what they're doing and what their purpose is. Like,
we explain our disagreements at length, and you guys know that watch this show. That's probably part of the reason why you do watch our show, and probably part of the reason why you do watch the Majority Report.
No, the reason why I watch your show is because you don't do that, you fucking idiot. What are you talking about? The reason why I watch your show is because you're doing the exact opposite of what you're saying constantly. Oh my god.
I know.
This is how mad I am in my car when I'm listening to
it. I don't. The only time I get mad, like, I don't get mad at bad stuff. I just get mad at when they lie about events, and then I think about like the people that were damaged by it. Right. That's what makes me mad. This other stuff just like, it just cracks me up. It makes me laugh so much.
Because we actually have good conversations. They probably have even more substantive conversations on the Majority Report. I'm not saying our show is just as good or highest quality, whatever, but still, that's why you guys like this content from progressives on the left. Because we're not having hysterical kind of Fox News conversations about these issues. We're actually unpacking what the solutions are. And guess what? That's why we're progressive. Never. I said this a million times, but it's not about virtue signaling. I love this part. Being a progressive, at least for us, and I think for Sam and Emma, it's not like I pick this ideology because I want to be more moral and more virtuous, and I want to stand on a hill and say I love homeless people, and how dare you not love. That's not what it's about. It's about the solutions, and progressivism has the solutions.
The reason why you want those solutions, dipshit, is because of how moral you think you are. Are you fucking kidding me?
I know. And also, what solution? They never say, like, universal basic income, universal healthcare.
Universal.
But
their solutions are universal.
But they just say these things as if there's some sort of fix to it. But like, oh, congratulations, you assholes literally think as if you have developed.
It's government do stuff. That's all of their solutions is government do stuff. The government that you admit that we can't trust. I can never get past that.
I know, that's the best part. They literally think that insane sociopaths can control our society, which I agree with them on.
Right.
And somehow they think that giving these people more power is going to somehow lead to our lives becoming demonstrably better. It makes no sense.
We watched $100 billion go to Ukraine. And they're complaining about homeless people, and it's like,
what's so funny is I can't get over the fact that these revolutionary communists and leftists love Ukraine. I don't like they just want more.
Well, there
is
a
split
money. with the actual non-Western communists are still pro-Russia.
Yeah, that's true.
But this is Western Marxism right now.
Yeah, which is what's funny. The Western Marxists are the most like establishment, like these people are literal representatives of the establishment. They just don't know they are.
Well, right, but I mean, Yuri Bezmenov discussed this when there was this kind of leftist in the 70s in different countries. These useless, smoking weed, doing nothing leftists.
Yeah, the hippies. Yeah.
That's what's funny is like that Russian propaganda is the reason why they support Ukraine and not Russia. Because Russia, what is Russia? A dictatorship? Are they not communist? I don't even know anymore, dude.
Yeah, I know it's like basically kind of similar to us, but it's like different in that they're more regular. So it's like I know it's like oligarchic in its makeup. I mean, I don't like support either one. I'm very much for like supporting measures that don't lead us into World War III needlessly, especially with all of the evidence that Ukraine is basically like what there was like a coup that was helped by like the CIA to overturn the original regime and then put Zelensky in power, and then he gets rid of all the political opponents. He bans media, he closes down and persecutes Orthodox Christians, and yet we're supposed to like be like, oh hey, here's more and more money to defend your democracy. Like what exactly are we doing?
My brain is incapable of acting like I understand international like geopolitics.
Me too.
When I've watched my own country lie this fucking hard about shit that I've seen with my own eyes. So it's super hard for me to like dive in on anything international politics.
I'm the same way. Like I know like generic type of information, like especially about like Ukraine and like sort of the shady. I know that Ukraine is also supposedly a huge testing ground for some of these like futuristic cities that more of like the sort of like globalist fascistic organizations are trying to plan. So there's a bunch of shady shit going on over there. And not to mention like the fact that Ukraine was so inextricably linked with the entire Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, Donald Trump fiasco. The whole thing just
years in the making. Literally years in the making.
Yeah, they laid the narrative for years and years and years. And so the whole thing smells rotten. I know something is wrong. I just can't quite exactly put my finger on it. I feel like, and it's funny because everyone always talks definitively as if they know the truth about
That's
these.
What
like,
kills me. That's what fucking kills me.
It drives me nuts. As if they know the truth about these geopolitical, like foreign intervention wars and all this other stuff. And I'm like, nobody can ever show me the definitive proof of how they know that what they're saying is definitively true.
It's a like, battle of propaganda, lying? But like be upfront about it and like I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah, it's frustrating to me though personally because I'm like I just want to know.
Within this ideology are the solutions that will fix these problems and that you care so much about. And that you care so much about, Cenk.
Yeah,
you guys know that because you used to say the same thing before you got bored of beating the progressive drum and decided to go elsewhere to grift morons and idiots like, you know, Actual Justice Warrior and Sitchin Adam and Glenn Beck and Jillian Michaels and Matt Walsh,
Ben Shapiro.
Yeah, all these idiots, right? But that's what's going on. And again, we have the solutions. You don't like homeless people? You don't like crime? Well, guess what?
Here we go. Okay. Well, you know what? You're about to eat your hat, Patrick, because you said they don't have any solutions. You're going to feel real dumb right now. You want the solution? You fucking want this? Here you go. All right, you ready?
Bring it to me. Bring it on me. Lay it on me.
But if we actually implement rent control, if we actually deal with the cost of housing.
Okay, so implement rent control, which would be the government is in control of housing, is what it sounds like. Okay, so the government is going to say you can't charge more than this price. So it's like a price control for grocery stores where they're going to say you can't sell it for, so then it's just going to go out of business is what it sounds like. Like, how do you maintain that? So like, does the government... Oh, you know what? I'm sure he'll go into more detail. I'm sorry. Here I am being a curious liberal and entertaining his bullshit fucking idea. Let me have him explain it. Yeah.
He's probably going to like do
in detail. It's what they do, Patrick. This is what they do all the time.
Bullet point. Yeah.
In a city like Los Angeles, in a state like California, and we actually empower the social services instead of the police and the incarcerals.
Empower the social services. Empower them. Okay, well, it sounds like we're just using platitudes, emotionally loaded language. So, I mean, imagine what a 5'1", 105-pound social worker would have done for George Floyd. How does this look in society?
Oh, man. Yeah.
If we actually deal with the cost of...
Also, this is my pedantic autism talking. So there's incarceration and there's the carceral state. Both involve being arrested. He's going to call it incarceral it's incarceration or carceral. He doesn't even know what he's saying.
Of housing in a city like Los Angeles, in a state like California, and we actually empower the social services instead of the police and the incarceral state, then yeah, you're going to see some improvements to society. And it's not our fucking fault. It's not.
So his promise, if you implement those solutions, is that you're going to see some improvements in society. So even if we do all of that, the best best I can do is it'll be some shit'll be better. Hey, how about all the shit that's worse though? Yeah, some shit'll be, then there'll be some improvements. Well, there's already some improvements under capitalism, but whenever there's improvements under capitalism, you ignore all of them. So
well, yeah,
would it be a net positive or a net negative if we did rent control and less police and more social workers on the beat?
Well, judging from the cities where this happens, I would assume that it would not go so well.
But that's why it sounds like they don't like. That's why
it's not as if we have empirical data.
I understand what Cenk is saying and what Anna is saying, where it's like it sounds like you don't live in these areas. But what she doesn't understand and what Cenk doesn't understand is that they're so indoctrinated into communism that they don't care whatever is happening around them. So that's why Emma Vigeland is allowed to fucking take one to the face for the fucking team.
Exactly. Oh God, I would love for Emma Vigeland to take one to the face for the team. And that's the thing, is that for these people, the things, if they implement their policies and there's things that are going wrong, they have built-in defense mechanisms,
just like China.
Yeah, they have built-in defense mechanisms within their own ideology that explain that, right? They have.
Oh, you mean Emma didn't say she got punched in the face, and even if she did,
yeah. But what I'm saying is, like, right, like if they institute these policies and something goes wrong, well, that's because they missed something. That's because somebody else was at fault. That's
the way it's being tracked. It's the way that we're aggregating the data.
Yes, the specter of white supremacy has not yet been defeated, so that's why we haven't achieved racial equity. There's always an excuse to excuse their terrible policies that don't work every single time.
It's not Sam Cedar's fault, and it's not Emma Vigeland's fault that Gavin Newsom has failed to do so. I'm sorry that Gavin Newsom is a shit.
Who said it was Emma and Sam's fault that Gavin Newsom did anything? Honestly, the best way to listen to them is to take a blip of it and just rest for a moment, because they pack in so much dog shit into a 10-second amount of time. It's incredible.
Yeah.
No one said, all right. Yeah. Okay.
Shitty governor. And I'm sorry that California has a bunch of shitty politicians or whatever, but that's not our fault. That's not the fault of the progressive left. You think Gavin Newsom takes his advice from Sam Cedar? Are you fucking kidding me?
No.
After that became a big national story, but they're still lying to their audience members about how that story's totally made up. It's not made up. I did my due diligence. Maybe they should try doing the same. But maybe they're afraid if they report the truth, they'll get some backlash.
It was, in fact, made up.
From their audience. But you know what? I'm willing to deal with backlash, even if the information I'm sharing is inconvenient for the progressive messaging.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So, man, I've had this pent up for so long because this has been going on for so long. How many times have we talked about this on the show? As openly, as clearly as we're doing right now. This is literally the first time, because I don't want to roll around in the mud with Emma Vigeland and Sam Cedar.
Right.
But here we are. People wanted to know. You guys asked. Here's the answer. Their politics differ from mine. It's time that they get over it.
Yeah. And so look, they claim to be more left wing, and then they'll.
I don't give a shit.
No, hold on. Let me finish.
I don't.
And
then
she still can't hear. It's still a pejorative in her mind that they're more left wing. Did you hear that reaction to that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because their identity, like, people on the right don't call themselves rightists. They call themselves leftists, and then they call the right reactionary when the identity of the left is to just resist.
Yeah, and look at Zach down there. Look at that psychopath.
Oh, he loves it.
He looks like Janosch from Ghostbusters 2 when Vigo electrocuted his testicles with his eyes and he became possessed by a demon. That's what he looks like right now.
He heard rolling in the mud and he goes, y'all got mud?
It sounds like Anna's the one that needs to get over it. She's like, I have different politics than that. Yeah, we get it. We know. That's why we've been talking about it, bro. Because you used to sort of be one of us, used to be a progressive, used to, for the most part.
You used to be one of us. Okay, so this is a telltale sign. This is something very small, but it's something that stands out to me. Used to be one of us. Now, when I hear a black person say that, it means black people. but it really is just a communist underpinning when they say us. But
absolutely.
So then when he says it, like one of us, it's like, yes, it's under the same collective umbrella. White people are only allowed a collective identity if it's communist, if it's progressive.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, and that's just funny too.
I'm not agreeing with. I should clarify that. I'm not agreeing with like white nationalists or white collectivists. I understand it. If I was able to have I would love to actually have a decent conversation with a pro-white person. They're more retarded than the fucking communists, though. I'm white. I'd love to have a group. They are retarded. I have not found a competent like white nationalist that I can actually have a conversation with.
Yeah, no, it is really it's hard. I've come across good people in some of those spaces, like on Twitter
for a little bit,
but they're not like white nationalists, but they hang out in their like periphery. So sometimes you find some gold like amongst the trash. But but
not the staunch advocates of the ideology.
Well, no, and especially like and then I try to talk to them about like race relations in the country, and they think that like I've talked to you about this before. Where they literally think as if like they think as if like black people are actually favored and that like the establishment loves them, and I'm like no.
I understand how it seems that way, and that's why I would like to talk to them.
I know,
but you're a fucking Jew. That's all it comes down to.
I look at them. I'm like, how is fostering a politics of like racial narcissism and pitting them against other people of different skin color in the country? How is that favoring them and then like ignoring the murder and crime in their cities and using them as statistics? I'm like, how is that favoring them? It's crazy.
Makes sense. And now you sound like you belong on Fox News. You sound like a Karen. You sound like Laura Ingraham. You sound like you're auditioning to get a job at Fox. I'm sorry.
Well, he sounds like I'm in the mood for Kyle Kalinske right now, okay?
Oh, please bring on that freaking piece of shit. Bring him on.
So it's going to be...
bro.
It's going to be...
We're for the patriarchy, bro.
It's going to be them... Well, okay, hold on. It's going to be them watching Kyle Kalinske, okay?
Oh my God, best of all.
Therapy has always been such a scary idea to me because I simply did not know where to get started. I didn't know how to find my person. I did not know where to go.
Absolutely.
Well, we'll just have to see if that's the case. And I don't know. I don't know if I want to hold my breath on that because I am notoriously a horrible judge of character on these things. As we all.
Okay, well, he's being pretty honest out of the gate. Okay.
I don't know what's gay. His hair. He's got an earring. He's just terrible.
How much more money does he have to make to have any sort of different headphone setup? It's just, is that like to be like one of the people that he still like doesn't have a lot of money?
I think so. I do hope that he keeps like modifying his appearance and eventually starts getting like cheek and lip fillers and he becomes a hideously deformed freak. I would love that for him.
Already just went through. I really hope that Cenk or Anna or both, they talk to Sam Cedar or they talk
I would love that.
John Idarola and Francesca Fiorentini, because it really does. Mm-hmm. They seem to think, as you sort of pointed out, that anybody who disagrees with them on certain issues, it truly is just a grifter and they're a liar.
It's how all of you treat the right. And then when it happens to each other, they're fucking mystified. He's like, I can't believe
I know.
I can't believe he said that about a about a 5-year-old that wore a "Make America Great Again" hat. I believe that completely. But if he says it against anyone on the left, I'm like, whoa, buddy.
It's all they know. It's literally all they know. They can't help it. This is all they know how to behave. This is all they know. They know nothing else.
Whether it's crime issues or trans issues, they seem to think like everybody who's on the left genuinely loves crime, right? I've heard this is something I've heard from them. I'd be willing to.
So, even when I used to watch Ben Shapiro, if there was like an accusation made against the right from the left, he wouldn't just laugh it off. He would state what the criticism is, state what his objection is, and state what his disagreement was in full detail. Like that's why I just started watching people on the right. Even if I didn't agree with them, I would understand their argument. This is all, it really is, Patrick, all they know.
Yeah, it's all they know. All they know is just like, they just go, oh, you're obsessed with kids. You're obsessed with kids' genitals. You're obsessed with people's genitals. They strawman and they mock. That's all. There's no substantive like breaking down of anything.
Right.
They never do that.
And we must become revolutionary mockists.
To have the conversation with them. But yeah, it's this idea. Oh, this is what Cenk's been going around saying now. Like, when we disagree, let's disagree. And then let's like go have a beer after, and then we agree, let's unite. This is like his
ear
big thing.
Piercings. He has 2.
Oh my God,
this
you hate him so much.
He's a man. He is a man with 2 ear piercings, and one of them may be dangly. Like how?
The 2001 Shawn Michaels dangly earring.
Legit, but I mean, you're Shawn Michaels. You get away with that. But do you think when he's 55 years old, he's going to have to wear diapers from how many times Crystal tops him? I feel like that's
he's going around saying now, and it's like, look, I understand that, but it gets squirrely when you say that like PBD's an honest actor or Tim Pool's an honest actor. You can have a conversation with them, but you can't have a conversation with Sam Cedar, right?
The right has to not be able to engage, and the left can only engage. It's a binary. In Cluster B, they call it splitting.
Kyle has decided to, not make enemies where he doesn't need to. And also, I think he, frankly, has personal friendships there. So it's not the path that we would have taken. I think it makes sense for Kyle. I also think that Mike is so gingerly when he sets it up for Kyle, but he also is so like, I want you to answer this. I want you to talk about Cenk and Anna. I don't want you to talk about Joe Rogan. I don't want you to.
Do you see the prefacing of explaining how to feel about it before it happens? It's constant propaganda.
Yeah, I know.
To talk about independent media that's doing all these things that, Cenk and Anna are also doing at TYT, right? I want you to specifically mention them, but he does it in a way where he's like, I don't want you to bash them, but I'm just going to tell you a bunch of shit about them really quickly in a condensed fashion.
Have you ever noticed how often Zach looks at Gavin for approval and Gavin's not looking at him?
Gavin,
have you ever noticed that?
His eyes. Yes.
Zach's always looking for that eye contact, and he never gets it.
I would assume that after the podcast is over, Gavin like slightly like derides and chides him and tells him like what he can and can't do. Because I definitely agree with you that Gavin is pulling the strings behind.
Well, just like Gavin's like a fucking Scientologist. Like, no matter what energy is next to him, he is just the same dude. It's fucking psychopathic. It's odd.
It is very creepy.
Like, none of that energy is infectious and you catch it and you catch a laugh or a vibe or something. Like, if I was next to that guy, even if I didn't like him, his energy would, like, affect me in some way because it's so high.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he's definitely, he's just flat. There's never any elevation to what he says. Even like if he laughs about something, it's at the same like tone and pitch as his other speech. Yeah,
it deserves to be shit talked. Yeah. And so Kyle, I think, both being true to himself and not refusing to answer the question, but also I wouldn't necessarily say he's taking the gloves all the way off. I think we'll hear more from Kyle, but he's trying not to create an unhinged response from Cenk and Anna, I think is something that we have to all.
He's like a fucking faggy Michael Cole the way he's like setting up the match that we're gonna watch right now.
He really is. And dude, their entire project right now, this like month-long project about like TYT and then the Majority Report and Kyle Kalinske and all these guys, all they're trying to do is build parasocial relationships with these people. That's all they're doing.
We had your back. We're supporting you. No matter what you say, we'll defend it.
The best is when like they like talk on their behalf and then they start lumping themselves in with the other people as if they're part of the same group.
Yeah,
it's so creepy.
I also interacted with Pamela Anderson when I jerked off to a picture of her. It was an interaction. What does that even fucking mean? Did you talk to him?
Understand when we watch this.
I think that's true. I think he wants to avoid that. As you brought up the other day, it's right around the holidays. He's probably more interested in spending time with his family than beefing online with Cenk and Anna, right?
I know, parasocial. Yeah,
parasocial.
So I think that's definitely a big part of it. And I also hear, Zach, there might be a shout out to the Vanguard in this clip.
The gutter guard?
Who knows?
The gutter guard. Sewer rat.
Us? The children of trash? Maybe. Let's plow right into it. Lord knows I love nothing more than a shout out.
Wow, he is smiling like a pig in trash right now, isn't he? They're so really low. They're gutter. They're sewer. They're shit. They're nothing. And he's loving it.
Yeah, well, that's what's funny is it's almost as if like the lower you are, like right, the lower your status
when you're
is,
white,
when you're right, but the higher your status can actually be in the actual movement. Like, you know what I mean? The bigger a piece of shit you are.
This is where we see, like, I understand a white nationalist calling him a race traitor. I understand that. I understand the frustration, okay? Because, like, the left creates alt-right people with what they make. They literally had to have a white dudes for Harris because of how neglected the fucking demographic is. And you put that on the national stage, white dudes for Harris. So you have to really anyone that was pro white dudes for Harris, how much were they demoralizing themselves into an absolute hole, a spiraling hole of cringe if you're white and on the left, dude?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it's very embarrassing.
Right? So it's just so demoralized where he has no oppression points. They're clearly he would say he's gay if he was gay. You think he would just keep that in his fucking back pocket? Two straight white dudes, so they have to be pieces of shit. That's all you can do. You're like, yeah, I know we're making more money. We're kind of in a working class neighborhood, but we're pieces of shit. We suck. We really are low life pieces of shit. Please.
Yep, absolutely. And I think you're also right when it comes to Kyle that what's really going on here is that he's still holding out hope. He's still holding out a hope and a prayer for nice. A TYT redemption arc, or for Cenk and Anna to come back to the light, realize what they've done, and course correct at the last minute. I think there's probably about a 1% to 2% chance of that happening at this point, unfortunately. But shout out to Kyle for at least holding on to some level of optimism. I guess that does occur.
Yep. Let's hear from these two fellas, both big friends of the show.
Big friends of the show.
So on the subject of independent media, I'm dying to know your thoughts on TYT and Kasparian. So I'm not going to put you in a place where
I don't watch the Humanist Report. At some point we might, but like this is just a dog shit commie channel I've never wanted to even visit.
The Humanist Report, before I knew what any of these people are, the Humanist Report was like my first view into the leftist political sphere. And I had no idea about leftist politics, about Marxism or anything like that. It was because I got interested. I was trying to get involved in different religions and different kind of stuff. Yeah. And then I found humanism, and then humanism led me to the Humanist Report. Wow. So yeah, this guy was like a little bit of an entryway into this, but I had no idea that I had no idea that it was basically just repackaged Marxism. I had no idea.
Oh no, dude, it wasn't necessarily effective on you. Okay, he wasn't Keith Olbermann, okay? He didn't.
Yeah, he was not. He definitely. Keith Olbermann slid his metaphorical dick in my ear and jizzed all over my brain. Is what he did.
Where you have to attack them, but from my perspective, I feel like it's sad to see this because we've all been in this space for a while, and we've seen this 100 times. Dave Rubin, Jimmy Dore, what's his name, Russell Brand. Where little by little you start to. You pick one or two issues and then you start buddying up with the right. And I see it with TYT. And
even that framing, you pick one or two issues, the only reason why you would buddy up to the right on those one or two issues is because none of you people will talk about it in any sort of different way.
Yep. And they won't, especially a lot of the stuff. Okay, so you could say that the trans issue isn't huge overall in terms of the electorate and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But in terms of changing people online and radicalizing them against the left, the trans is the number one thing.
Because you go to the left and they just try to ignore it.
Yes, and that exactly. And not only that, but so mainstream media, the true horrors of the trans movement is hidden from the populace.
Yeah.
If the populace knew the true horrors of it, right, they'd be like, my dear Lord, what the fuck is happening? But online, on Twitter, the horrors are just they're put everywhere. So people online, different personalities who actually end up going online, always get radicalized away from the left because of the trans movement. Always. And they never want to talk about it.
Well, it's a line in the sand. It doesn't matter how big the issue is. It's a line in the sand.
Yeah, it's too crazy. It's too crazy for anyone who...
And they realize they fucked up on the left and they're trying to backpedal like a motherfucker.
Yes, and anyone who can accurately look at it for what it actually is, they will either see how insane and evil it is and run away from it, or they'll just embrace evil. That's my opinion.
No, but it's a great litmus test. So 2020 in terms of de-radicalizing people, Kyle Rittenhouse is a litmus test. If you were able to just discuss it like you weren't a religious zealot, that was a litmus test. It's the same thing with trans kids. More than trans people, trans kids is a line in the sand. It's a litmus test. And if they can't explain it, if they can't concede, that's the litmus test. You have to make a concession. You can still, you don't want to change your mind now, but you can't just not make any concessions when it comes to the trans kid argument. Come on.
Exactly. Like at that point, if you make no concessions and you're just a hardliner about it, you just want trans kids to like
run away from that person, get away from them.
Oh yeah, I know that
you
person.
You gave him a chance. You gave him a fucking chance.
Yeah, exactly. They're done.
Yeah.
And Anna Kasparian. And I'm curious what your thoughts on that are.
Before I answer that, I'm curious your thoughts on, do you think it's going to go fully in that direction? Like, do you think it's genuinely going to end up like a Jimmy Dore or a Dave Rubin?
Yes, I do. If you asked me this a year ago, I would say probably not. I was in that position where you were in probably with like Joe Rogan, where it's like, no, I think that you should try to reach these people. I think that maybe there's just a genuine agreement. But to me, with time...
Why does this Humanist Report guy look like generations of communist multiracial breeding? What is this guy?
It's become apparent that like both Cenk and Anna, they just don't want to listen to good faith criticism. And, we all kind of like talked about this in different ways, like on Leftist Mafia, for example. And what really struck me is how,
Leftist Mafia, see, now I'm encouraged to go and look at some of this stuff. Have you heard about Leftist Mafia at all?
Vaguely.
Same, very vaguely.
They just disregarded the arguments that we made.
Wait.
It was not in bad faith, even though they don't want to.
Leftist Mafia?
Yeah.
That's isn't that that's those retards. That's that dude is that fucking douchebag Matt Binder from the Binder Binder from the Majority Report and the Certs. It's like a collection of like and then like three other, I think it's a collection of leftists that have their own show called
I've
the Leftist
never watched
Mafia.
it because it's so fucking boring. I've never had a reason to watch it. Oh my god, I hate all those people.
Oh, it's horrible. We got to get to Lance eventually at some point. We got to make fun of Lance real bad.
I've known Lance longer than you, Patrick, and I have a catalog on Lance, okay?
He's so cringe.
Acknowledge that. It wasn't in bad faith, but they said it was in bad faith. And for me, I think that moment that really like clicked with me, like, no, it's over, was when they went after Emma Vigeland. Because Emma Vigeland,
my sacred cow.
They know her more than they know us. I was part of TYT Network. You were part of TYT Network, but we didn't have that close relationship. I never was at TYT.
And that's a good point, too. I think I mentioned something similar on our stream yesterday, which was that was a final straw for a lot of people in their audience.
Can you imagine Gavin mentioned something similar when this is like the communist The View right now?
And you also...
The surface level the conversation is.
And you also, like, if you... Anytime you listen to Emma Vigeland, she is maybe... one of the most vile people.
Who's a bigger cunt, her or Francesca Fiorentini? Which one? Because I battle with this in my head. When I was a 15-year-old boy, I'd be like weighing, Francesca, I'd fuck her definitely, easily. But when I was a kid, I used to think, ooh, which one would I bang? Now I'm like, which one's a bigger bitch? At this age that I'm at.
Emma Vigeland looks like a run-through version of Popeye's girlfriend, Olive Oil, is what she looks like. But Popeye wasn't able to save Emma Vigeland from that giant beefy sailor guy that wanted to bang her. Honestly, or whatever he wanted to do to her.
If Emma Vigeland was on the right, she would be more attractive, and it would have nothing to do with her politics. She is such a frowny cunt. The look on her, the scowl. She already has an old woman scowl on her fucking face.
She does.
And I've made a video with fucking Sam Cedar and how hilarious his fucking ad reads are, and she's just coaching him through it.
And she looks tired. She just looks tired.
She looks like Elliot Page. She looks fucking exhausted constantly.
But the fact that Emma Vigeland is the sacred cow, like, she's such a vile person.
That's who you're going to choose. Sam Cedar, I understand.
That's who you're going to choose. Like, if you go against Emma Vigeland, that's the final straw. Everybody should go against her. She is a vile, vile person. The stuff she says is horrible. She's old.
She tries to get kicked off of shows. Did you see that?
On the Timcast?
Yeah, her intention is to not get invited back.
She's objectively evil. So the fact that she is like the pinnacle of leftism online really, really is an indictment on leftism and communism in general.
Dude, how much do you want to bet that Gavin wants to transition into Emma Vigeland?
I think
he wants to wear her skin because she's usually pretty low energy, but now she'll be like really turn up the cunt. He just hasn't found his like cunty fighting things back voice. He's way too passive.
Yeah, he's just like he comes across like a hipster doofus surfer type character.
The 1-2 punch of Mondale Robinson leaving the network, telling people to unsubscribe on the way out, and then Anna turning around and viciously smearing her former colleague Emma Vigeland, her former friend Emma Vigeland, just in a disgusting way, refusing to
her former friend. Oh, dude, you know Emma was so cunty when she was like, "We used to be best friends." It's like, did you? How long ago? What was going on? All of a sudden, you guys are best friends.
I know.
It's so cunty, but it's so under the radar. But to me, it's very obvious because I'm used to watching very cunty. Yeah, if you just like watch communists, you can just pick up on the bitchiest, most fucking feminine behavior in the entire world. It's the only way that they operate.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Engage with any of Emma's actual criticism, but instead opting just to smear this woman behind her back and take her out of context. And like I said, a totally disgusting way. And why was this the last straw, Zach? Because, I mean, can you think of two people that are less bad faith than Emma Vigeland and Mondale Robinson? I mean, come on.
Oh my God.
Can't paint these people as bad faith actors.
He's so dry, it sounded like he said it sarcastically.
It did.
Vigeland, Mondale Robinson. Again, say whatever you want about us. I don't really care. We're a little bit more new to the scene. We're not established in this scene like those two people are, but those folks are, they've demonstrated their credibility. They've demonstrated their integrity. It's not really up for debate.
Yeah, 100%. And this is
100%. 100%. 100%. Like, did you have any meth?
I was pausing it before he was even going to say
Do you have any meth? Do you have any meth? 100. I need 100% meth. This motherfucker.
I don't really care. We're a little bit more new to the scene. We're not established in this scene like those two people are, but those folks are, they've demonstrated their credibility. They've demonstrated their integrity. It's not really up for debate.
Yeah, 100%. And this is true not just to people like us,
100%
listeners, right? But this has been something that has taken people aback throughout the entire media scene. People who the Young Turks kind of need to support them, right? Gavin and I, we don't consider ourselves journalists. We like to practice some journalistic ethics. So I'm not going to tell you guys exactly who reached out to us, but there are people with millions of subscribers, not Mike or Kyle, but they reacted to that and they were like, hey guys, we don't get into the mud and gutter like this, but we're absolutely appalled by the way that Anna Kasparian and Cenk Uygur are treating Emma Vigeland. And thank you for not letting it fly because it is abhorrent and it is absolute media malpractice what they're doing over there. And they don't feel like
malpractice. It's media malpractice.
Look at his eyes.
Oh
Dear God, look at his eyes.
Throw a dart at a frame. Oh
and then look at freaking what's his name over there?
Gavin, you refuse to learn his fucking name.
I can't remember his name. Just look at him.
Your brain refuses to take up any space remembering this fucking guy's name.
It's like, look at him. His like eyebrow almost looks arched, and yet there is just no.
How are your eyebrows that high when your eyes are that closed?
I don't know. Just look at it. It's just like, I mean, it's just like the tale of two douchebags. A tale of two leftists. He does.
Oh my God, this frame right now is absolutely incredible.
It's terrifying. He can't look at him. It's what it is.
Gavin cannot look at Zach. He can't look at him when he's talking. Zach will look over at Gavin and be like, yeah.
It's entirely possible that Zach is operating at such a high frequency that he's just vibrating in and out of existence and Gavin just can't see him. It's entirely possible.
Like it's compatible with their brand to speak out, and they don't feel like it's compatible with what they've promised their audience they're going to devote their hard news shows to doing. But there are multiple individuals with huge platforms that are like, this is absolutely appalling, and we don't stand for it either. So I think that we've all been awoken that it's going to be a new low for the Young Turks in the post, like, calling out Emma Vigeland era.
Mm-hmm.
You were only there a couple of times. So like there was that degree of separation between us. But just to see them disregard the criticisms of the left. I mean, we all criticize each other. You and I have had debates like in DMs on Twitter about fucking specific healthcare bills and shit like that. But we never like
this is what they do. They reduce words down to nothing. Now it's just so broad and nebulous that now it's just criticizing each other. It's not what the criticism was. It's talking about a topic.
Yes, and it's funny too because it's like, yeah, we all criticize each other. It's like, that's not what's happening, okay? If you're gonna take this at face value, freaking Cenk and Anna are literally like, you have all gone insane. You all want to mutilate kids, and you're obsessed with race, and you love crime, and you lost your fucking minds. They're not saying they disagree with you on like these small little like differences between healthcare policies. They literally think that you're all essentially evil at this point. That's what their stance is. It's completely different.
But they can't come to terms with them being then, because that's the left. It's this amorphous religion that doesn't have a god.
Well, that's yeah. Well, and that what's funny is that, I mean, Cenk and Anna, they've gone where they want the revolution to stop. They want it to stop right where they are.
It's like,
and
Cenk and Anna took an edible, okay, and it didn't hit after an hour and a half, so they took another edible. And then now they're getting high and they go, okay, I'm high enough. No, the edible's not done with you. The communists are not done with you. Okay, that's enough communism. That's enough revolution.
Exactly. And they're hoping, right? They're hoping that the people on the right who are, because Anna and Cenk are like rebranding themselves as populists now. They're hoping that the populists on the right will have just as much in common with them.
They're not getting viewership from the left.
Yeah, right. I mean, shit. At this point, Cenk and Anna, I mean, they might as well join the American Communist Party and embrace MAGA communism.
What is your grift? Choose a direction. They're just that stupid. They're too stupid to even grift properly.
Yeah, I know. I would love to be like it. I'd love to be a fly on the wall in the room where they're talking to actually know like what is actually going on, as opposed to just sort of having to like guess.
Boring, retarded conversations.
No, I know, but are they you know, I want to know what percentage of bad faith and good faith they are.
Idiot,
I know, but
bad,
I'm talking about
dumb.
I know.
Retarded.
I want to know how honest they're being.
You want to know that more than they do, and that's the issue.
Never thought, oh, Kyle's a fucking grifter, and I don't think you thought the same about me. It was just disagreements that we were hashing out. And even like I said something about Wolfpack on my show, and Cenk had reached out to me privately and said, hey, the people at Wolfpack think that you got this wrong. And so I'm like, oh shit, I don't remember what it was in particular, but I brought on one of the directors of Wolfpack on my show to correct the record and talk about Wolfpack.
He probably wasn't even wrong.
And it's like it's one of those things where we're all gonna eat shit. You know, we're human beings. We don't have massive, production crews. We kind of just get on camera.
Is there anything more communist than saying, we're all human beings. We eat shit. We're all going to eat shit. We're human beings. And can we just appreciate how wide Kyle Kalinski's shoulders are compared to this guy? Look at how huge his head is and how tiny his shoulders are.
Yeah, and Kyle is closer to the camera too.
Okay, so we'll see.
But I do want to point out that Gavin and Kyle, I believe, both have the same vape. I would assume that Gavin bought the vape based on Kyle's recommendation. But continue.
We say what we think, and so there are going to be times where we trip on our own dicks. And our peers are the best people to hold us accountable. Like if some random YouTube comment says, "Hey, Mike, fuck you. You said this. You're a terrible person," I'm going to disregard that. But if Kyle reaches out to me and says, "Hey, Mike, I think that you really messed up here."
It's not what the person is saying. It's who is saying it, is what he just admitted.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's all clout. It's all, yeah.
That's when I'm going to think, oh, okay, well, if Kyle's saying this, he's been doing this for a long time. I respect him. He respects me. So that to me is why I think TYT might actually just be straight up gone. Because they've tuned out all of the people that were closest to them, that respected them, that they respected, and now it's just right wingers, Glenn Beck, PBD, and it's not a bad thing to go on these shows at all. Going on Temple and whatnot, but it's what you do when you're on these shows, right? Like you were on PBD.
Try to not get invited back like Emma Vigeland or Francesca Fiorentini. Just act like an absolute insufferable human being to prove to your small insular group that you're one of the good ones.
And you criticize them, you challenge them.
Yeah, the whole thing was a debate. The whole thing was a debate.
The entire fucking thing was a debate. Mm-hmm. And this was the same criticism that we had with Jimmy Dore when he started going on Tucker Carlson. Like, I don't care that you go on Tucker Carlson. I'm not trying to, police where you go. You're a grown man. But if I were on Tucker Carlson, I'm going to speak truth to power. I'm going to criticize him for the white supremacy that he's espousing. And I don't see that. I see them going on these shows, attacking the left. And to me, it's like, okay, you know what? maybe 5 years ago, I would still be more charitable. A year ago,
I love it. So yeah, you can go on these shows, but make sure you call him a white supremacist. Under a communist society, like, yeah, you can have this food, but call us God.
Yeah.
Everything's very conditional. There's no sense of rights. It's, yeah, well, if you're going to do that, you can only do it this one way.
Exactly.
So I'd be more charitable. But I feel like we've seen this show so many times. It's a rerun. And I actually think they're less subtle. Like, I think Anna is less subtle than Dave Rubin's grift at this point in time.
It's almost like they had kind of the opposite reaction as me. So, like, in 2016, it looked to me like they were fully in resistance mode, where it was like, man, we're going to fight on everything. We're going to fight tooth and nail on everything.
A progressive talking about resistance mode. Constantly resisting, not ceding 1 inch of ground, not looking for a compromise. By the way, the right's divisive, and Trump is very divisive. But it's a foundational principle they have to always be fighting the other side, always resisting.
Yeah. Yeah, they have to. I mean, that's
their identity. What are they if they're not doing that? What is a communist if they're not doing that?
Correct. Yes.
Thing, fuck Trump in every imaginable way, even to the point where, there were some areas where I disagree with them on like Russiagate type stuff. I was like,
and this is why it's very surprising the direction they've decided to go. And this is why I feel so confident calling it calculated pivot for financial gain, right? This is why I feel so comfortable calling it a grift.
It makes no sense.
Because when the money was in the resistance, when the money was in the Women's March, when the money was in the Pink Pussy Hats, when the money was in Russia.
What, when the money is in taking down the Young Turks?
No, exactly. Dude, exactly. Also, they're bleeding viewers, right? I mean, say whatever you want about them, about the Young Turks, but they're bleeding viewers. How? This is like when how is
they're
it them
staging
trying
a coup?
To make
they're
money?
Trying to take them down, but that's the thing is that I know, but maybe the Young Turks are trying to grift, and they are that like
it's possible.
It's what else could it be? What is the grift exactly? It's Cenk Uygur still being a fucking asshole on Piers Morgan and being a belligerent fucking fool. That only worked when you had the left behind you. And then Anna Kasparian calling herself an independent and no longer on the left.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I'm interested to see personally where the Young Turks is going to go, because it's like when you're starting this kind of new grift and you're starting this new venture, you're not going to reveal everything all at once. You're going to do it in stages. So, like, I wonder, even if it's fake, even if it's false and tricksy, I wonder what their evolution is going to be. And man, maybe in 8 months they'll be calling them Marxists.
Well, I mean,
we'll see.
Yeah, right. But
the thing about
the studio was purchased by Polymarket.
Yeah, but imagine though if Cenk Uygur ends up getting into a conversation with James Lindsay on Twitter, and then they end up having a conversation, and then James Lindsay convinces Cenk Uygur that what's actually happening is Marxism. It'd be hilarious.
That would be incredible. That crossroad, yeah.
And the Cenk Uyghur's running around screaming about Marxists. It'd be so funny.
Like it's its own idea would be the best part of that too.
That'd be amazing. Yeah,
even though we watched his transformation and understand like the lineage of what's going on, how what they're saying and where it comes from, almost verbatim.
Yeah.
When the money was in, all of that, they went right into it. They did not continue to hold the line for Bernie Sanders. Really, they kind of gave some, oh yeah, we're going to talk about that, or oh, we're going to kind of talk about that. But for the most part, they just went hook, line, and sinker. We're going to attack Trump, which is fine. That's allowed. Donald Trump was awful. You could make content every single day about horrible decisions that he was making in office. No problem over here.
Can we agree
on one thing? From that to go,
whether or not he's gay or straight, he's definitely a faggot. Okay. So we need to agree on that.
In terms of individual liberty, not looking left, not looking right, he is a faggot.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
From that being the identity of your network, to have all of these new viewers who found you in 2017, right? Say, oh, okay, why are you now on the complete opposite side of the aisle when there's no new information that's emerged to make you think that Trump is an ounce more genuine, and there's actually a ton of data to suggest he'll be more brazen and lawless in a second term?
Yep.
Like, I don't agree with these particular criticisms that they're making, but it seemed like they were in full-on resistance mode, and they maintained that all the way up, seemingly until recently. And then the mindset. So in the same way as like I was trying to like find bridges or areas of agreement from 2016 on, and then eventually I realized, shit, this didn't work, and I flipped, and now
he's tacitly admitting to just trying to politically groom anyone he talked to. He was just trying to get concession, leading toward, like, none of that was in good faith. It was just to lead them down a certain line of thought.
And it's always funny, right, is that we understand what they're saying and what there's like how they're saying it, and like with these people, it's always mask off. Right. And so when I listen to these people with like a normal person, I look at them, I'm like, do you hear that shit? And they're like, wait, what do you mean? And it's like they don't see it.
I know, but so they keep saying that the right has dog whistles, right? But then you're trying to listen to this with a normal person, and you're actually hearing dog whistles that they actually cannot hear.
I know. It drives me nuts.
Now I'm being super aggressive, and I'm the one that's resisting. And for them, it was resist. And then just recently, it's almost like they just got tired of doing the we're in the resistance, we're going to fight everything. And now you hear Cenk's big thing is like, we got to unite the populist right and the populist left, and here's this area and that area where we can agree. But what I would say to Cenk in reaction to that is, it's not like they're completely and utterly full of shit. Every single one of them. That's even and God bless Bernie. I love him. I don't think Bernie's a sellout by any stretch of the imagination, but his strategy on this has been like, I agree with Trump that we should cap credit card interest rates at 10%. And I agree with Elon Musk and Doge that we need to cut the Pentagon. And he's putting that out there. But here's the thing, Bernie. They're not going to cap credit card interest rates at 10%. They're not going to cut the Pentagon. And then when they don't do those things, all of those MAGA accounts are going to pretend like they never supported capping credit card.
The left would never do that.
They would never. They would never say they're doing something. They would never
act like they're all about Joe Biden and then immediately jump to Kamala Harris. And then when Kamala Harris didn't win, they're like, "Yeah, I didn't really like her anyway." You would never do that.
Never.
Card interest rates at 10%. They're going to say they never supported cutting the Pentagon, and they're going to go wherever Trump wants them to go because MAGA is effectively a cult. And so what I would say to Bernie is, I know where your heart is. I know you're trying to do what you think is the right thing and get them in a gotcha and hypocrisy burn them.
And with Bernie, by the way, I would say that it's even more defensible than it is with Cenk and Anna. Like, I disagree with Bernie, and I think that ultimately Kyle is correct about that. But I think Bernie is someone that is in the halls of power. You know, he literally is a senator. If anyone's going to have a prayer of influencing a future administration, it would be a senator, it would be someone in power, not freaking Cenk Uygur. I mean, it's just ridiculous for Cenk to disguise what he's doing as activism in order to influence the people in power, when, of course, that's a total farce. With Bernie, again, I disagree with that, and I think that Kyle's right, but I think it's still at least a little bit...
We could easily do a whole episode on Cenk Uygur's fucking run for government office. That was a hilarious time in history.
Yeah, no, I only vaguely paid attention to that.
Yeah.
I just remember it like centered around that book that he was releasing that like I think he finally released it, but he was like talking about releasing it forever.
How long was he talking about? Okay. How
At least
long?
for a year.
For over 2 years, he was talking about releasing the book, and he was getting money for the book for 2 years when all he had was the cover for the book and no words written in it at all whatsoever for over 2 years.
I remember Sean at Actual Justice Warrior did some really good stuff on it.
More respectable. It's not just like a right-wing grift being disguised as something else. I do think Bernie's actually genuine.
They were lying, etc., but they're immune to the hypocrisy burns. And so the real strategy is to upfront say...
Yeah, the right is immune to the hypocrisy burns. The left totally doesn't ignore whenever they're being hypocritical. If you've ever tried to talk to these people, they do not care about being hypocrites at all whatsoever. What happened to fucking feminism?
I don't even know if they realize when they're being hypocrites. I don't know if they're that self-aware.
Well, that's what the projection is. But that's why it's just so funny whenever they say shit like that.
Hey, look, these people are full of shit. They're full of shit. They don't mean a goddamn word of what they say. And I will put in the same category, I'd put, the PBDs of the world and the Tim Pools of the world and the Joe Rogans of the world. Like, do you think Rogan, like when Trump starts doing objectively horrible shit, Do you think Rogan is going to be on his show like, man, I really disagree?
So, like, when Hitler is doing objectively terrible shit, well, you would say, like, what Hitler did. This is how you know it's rhetoric and sophistry. You would say the horrible thing he did, but they always had to go into a long, like, tirade of things and insurrection and whatnot. But Trump is just doing objectively horrible shit, and people just don't know it yet. Like, I think they already would have experienced it if he was doing objectively horrible shit.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And he does. Trump does do like bad stuff. It's always funny because the stuff that I disagree with that he does is never actually accurately criticized.
Yeah. You want him to go further.
No, I'm actually talking about something substantive instead of saying that he's going to be a dictator on day one, like that kind of shit.
Exactly. Well, yeah. I mean, you wouldn't have to lie about him. Like, you wouldn't like lie about Hitler. You wouldn't have to lie about him if he's that bad.
Yeah.
Agree with this, like he did back in the day. Remember when the child separation policy was happening, and Rogan had on Duncan Trussell, and he went on like a pro-immigrant rant where he was saying, "Yeah." And do you think that's going to happen this time around? No, he endorsed the guy who said he wants to do a mass deportation, and if Trump does do a mass deportation, Rogan's either going to say nothing about it.
I actually do think there's a possibility that Rogan would say something about it, but he would take absolutely zero accountability for manufacturing consent for whatever horrible things Donald Trump does, right?
Whatever they are.
Like Donald Trump starts doing some really authoritarian shit, and Joe's like, I don't think I'm cool with that. Like as if it wasn't obvious that that's what Trump was going to do from the very beginning, as articulated by people such as Kyle Kalinske. You know what I'm saying? Can you kind of see that?
100%. And here's what he'll do. He'll be like, the Democrats put us in such a horrible place. They wanted to nominate that lunatic Tim Walz. The guy lied about his military service. How could you vote for somebody who lies? A liar. You're gonna vote for
reduce it down to nothing. Now all lies are equal. This one lies and the other one lies.
Yeah, and I just hate the even when Joe Rogan talks about, like, when he was talking about the things that are wrong with Tim Walz, he didn't even mention once that he has child kidnapping policies in place so the state can mutilate kids against their parents' wishes. Like he doesn't even bring up that. I'm like, how do you not bring up the worst thing that he did?
When you say child kidnapping policies, I assume that you mean that the kid can be taken away from the parent if they don't affirm the kid's gender.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm just like,
end result is exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. And it is the objectively most evil, insane thing that Tim Walz ever did. And the fact that it's not brought up constantly, I'm just like, why are you talking about like his school lunches or this other stuff? Like, it's so much more insane. Like, why aren't you bringing that up? Like, even Joe Rogan didn't bring it up. I'm like, what are you doing, you stupid little muscular, tiny, retarded person? Like, what are you doing?
After he just lied to you? I mean, we had to vote for Donald Trump, the ultimate truth teller. I mean, guys, they had nominated a liar. Oh, it was the Democrats' fault. I never wanted this. I've always just been team people. I love people. Right. That's what he always goes back to. He's like, I'm team people.
Oh, I'm Zach, and I can't admit that I want to swallow a dick. Oh, here I am in my fancy little shirt, acting like I'm going out to get pussy when I hope there's a hairy bag under those fucking pants.
Imagine.
That's just what he sounds like. That's him. Like,
Imagine Zach's Friday night snorting Adderall off a fully erect penis and just going to town on that thing. Just imagine his Friday nights. Holy shit.
He looks like he thinks he wants to do it, but can't admit it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, definitely.
Guys, wherever people are, it's like,
hey, I have hand tattoos. I'll suck a dick.
Joe Rogan.
Or just defend it, right? And so I think that's the point, is like, as we've been saying, there are way more allies who are liberals or who are just independents.
So you guys are liberals,
right.
huh? That's
I'm of the belief at this point, the populist right is fake. It's not real. Yep. They will flip on a dime to go where.
So Kyle's stellar commentary is they're full of shit and it's fake.
Yeah.
This is his substantive critique. And when they're like, yes, we have substantive arguments and in-depth critiques about things that we're disagreeing about, and I'm just going to keep talking like an 8th grader that stayed up all night playing video games and didn't actually do his report, and he knows he has to fill a certain amount of time during his class presentation. It just runs out the clock every
Trump
time.
Wants them to go.
He really does.
And by the way, I know I'm right about this because, again, we have the first 4 years. I mean, already Trump has axed Lena Khan. Lena Khan was like the example of, oh, if they mean this and they're actually going to be populist, they will keep Lena Khan at the FTC. And they said, oh.
So here's what a person should realize. So I don't know what Kyle is talking about right now, okay? But there's plenty of times where I listen to right-wing media where I don't necessarily know what they're talking about. And through them talking about something that I don't know what they're talking about, I kind of learn about what they're talking about, right? I kind of start to understand, like, oh, I'm learning something. Okay. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's why they said that. Oh, that's okay. Oh, that's where you got that from. Oh, that's what that data is. Okay. And I'm actually starting to, like, kind of like formulate a point of what they're making. Whenever they talk, where are we landing the plane?
J.D. Vance had said some kind words about Lena Khan. Maybe Trump will keep Lena Khan. And then we learned just last week, he's not keeping her. He's replacing Lena Khan with somebody who says, I want to stop the FTC's war on big business.
So I'm hearing about when Trump was president. I'm hear some like authoritarian shit. He was already president. We're terrified he's going to be a dictator and a fascist. And he's talking about Lena Khan. I'm like, okay, well, who, what? Okay. And I was expecting something much more fear-driven and derogatory. But all you have to hear is that Donald Trump's dangerous. And then he's talking about something that you don't, like, that's just a pre-approved script to talk about. I want to hear the horrible shit about when he was president. When do we get to that?
I know, and Kyle will sometimes talk about it, and like Trump does say crazy shit, but then he never does it. And their argument is always that, well, that's the stuff he actually wants to do. So unencumbered, that's what he'll do. That's what they always argue. But
so how many times do they have to fail this test before we call it for what it is? J.D. Vance pretends like he's a populist. He's not even in favor of raising the minimum wage. He dodged a question on that during the campaign. He's not even in favor of the PRO Act. He said he supports the $6,000 child tax credit, and he didn't show up for the vote on the
Didn't they already raise the minimum wage?
I think so.
Not federally, but certain states did. So when he says raise the minimum wage, like what to what amount and where and like what is that referencing? It's just rhetoric.
All I know is that wherever they try their policies and when they institute them too much, every country, whatever they do it, millions of people die.
But what's so frustrating is you know you want to disagree with them, but they're never making a fucking point. So all you do is call them a commie. Like, I would like to disagree with him. I want to know what his point is and how it's manifesting in reality. Raise the minimum wage and this point, this talking point, this talking point.
Well, how can he possibly ever have a place to land his plane if he's always looking towards the utopia that will never occur? The place where he's going to land his plane will never and can never exist. So it makes sense.
$6,000 child tax credit, right? So it's just I'm hoping.
And guys, I don't know how many folks we have in our audience left who are still susceptible to the whole like, oh, you know what, like. The right wingers, they just really are the new populists. But Kyle just did an impeccable job shredding all of that. There were a lot of accounts, kind of dumbasses. That
this is why I like watching them watch it, because I just heard that and we just described how we felt upon hearing it. And then as soon as he's done talking, he's like, dude, he just shredded some gnar on a fucking snowboard in the hill, dude. He just completely killed it, completely owned him. What did he say? I just know that he did a good job, motherfucker.
I know, and that's what their content always is. It's literally just glazing larger internet personalities, and then they show the clip, and no such owning ever happens, but then they narrativize it, so their viewers are like, wow, that own actually happened.
Well, that's the whole point of the preamble. The preamble before anything happens is how we're supposed to feel before watching it.
Yeah, and I feel like with our show, at least, we don't like do too much of a setup. We're just like, all right, this is what we're going to talk about, and then we play it, and then we just make fun of them.
Because I'm hyper aware of like guiding what I'm obviously guiding people what to think a certain amount, but it's not this overarching. This is how you're supposed to feel about the entire thing. I'll tell you. I'll put it like a framing and like try to introduce who these people are, what their relevance is. And then how I feel about it beforehand.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
like a regular person. But
we're not exactly. It's because like we're actually operating in good faith and just trying to make fun of them, whereas these other people are actually trying to get across like ideological.
I can't operate in good faith if I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. I'm sitting here trying to listen to it. It's driving me fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah.
That we're like, oh, you know, Matt Gaetz and J.D. Vance, they really like Lena Khan, guys. They actually really want to rein in monopoly.
It's actually funny because it would sound like I'm making fun of Zach, if I went, and then Zach was like, oh, Matt Gaetz in a Monopoly. But I'd actually just be doing a one-to-one comparison of exactly how he's speaking. There's no way to do an impression of him that isn't sounding like I'm being condescending. And it gets to that point with like the far left where you're like, I have to be condescending. There's no other way to treat you at a certain point.
Any impersonation of Zach is almost going to be more flattering than the actual true representation that he puts on screen. Like he's impossible to parody. Just show the videos of him.
He's impossible to parody. It's going to sound like you're making fun of him.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, they don't, dude. They are going to serve the Republican Party and the Republican Party big business donors. Okay, the old guard. They're the geriatric, decrepit wing of society with the old racist money. That is who they are going to serve, the Walton.
The old racist money.
And there's no way to argue it anymore. We even came out on this very show and we said, yeah, you're right. Trump's Secretary of Labor is a good pick. She has a strong record, and she's not going to be a disaster, even though she's a Republican. She's I think she's a representative from Oregon. She's not MAGA coded. You know, she does have a good union rating. However, what did we say? He's going to fire Lena Khan, and he's going to gut the NLRB, and he's going to make it so that he has the optics of a strong union presidency because he'll point to his Secretary of Labor, and then she's going to have no teeth to do anything at all. And she's not going to support the, striking Starbucks workers because Trump's base hates Starbucks workers because they think that they're blue-haired liberals.
Yep. And also, as Kyle pointed out, the Labor Secretary is not even actually that good. Like, she voted for the PRO Act, which is based, obviously. But then I think otherwise only voted with unions 10% of the.
So see how Zach just said, like, yeah, see, we support a Republican. And what does Gavin do? Comes in, cleans it up, and goes, yeah, but she wasn't even that good. Here's what she did wrong. He's always there to clean it up. It's a delicate balance.
Yeah.
The time. That was according to, I believe, Kyle Kalinske.
Zach had no idea.
Sorry to rain on everyone's parade, but even that pick, despite being endorsed by Sean O'Brien, probably just 10% less shitty than whoever else Trump would have picked.
Yeah, that's crazy. And you're right. I mean, Sean O'Brien, I've had criticisms of, but I did see that the Teamsters gave her an A rating, which is what I was kind of going off of.
I think it's mostly because of the PRO Act, though, and because she was one of the only people that voted for it, which you can't take away from her. That is very important.
Like I think a lot of people are, for just when something really bad happens, I'm hoping that there's some sort of an about face, right? Mm-hmm. And that TYT goes, hey, they didn't do the thing that I thought they might do, so now I'm on the warpath against them too. So I hope that that's the case. We'll just have to see if that's the case. And I don't know. I don't know if I want to hold my breath on that because I am notoriously a horrible judge of character on these things, as we already just went through. We just discussed the Rogan thing. I gave him credit for way too long. For Jimmy Dore, I gave him credit for way too long. For all these people. But what I would say is this. I really hope that that Cenk or Anna or both, they talk to Sam Cedar or they talk
I would love that.
John Iadarola and Francesca Fiorentini, because it really does. Mm-hmm. They seem to think, as you sort of pointed out,
Did you see when Cenk talked to Francesca Fiorentini about this?
No, but all Kyle wants is Cenk and Anna to be struggle sessioned. That's all he wants.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, you're right.
He wants a multifaceted, approach. Just struggle session from all angles. That's all he wants.
That's such a good point. I just want them to have a conversation. They can't have a conversation. We've seen how they behave.
They can't. They are incapable. It'll just be a struggle session.
I'll watch that clip on the Vanguard before he chatted with Mike. Who knows?
That anybody who disagrees with them on certain issues, it truly is just a grifter and they're a liar and whether it's crime issues or trans issues, they seem to think like everybody who's on the left genuinely loves crime, right? I've heard this is something I've heard from them. So it's
Kyle, they only.
So Kalinske, it's interesting because Kalinske was always sort of, he kind of positioned himself as he's kind of like he's not exactly woke, he's not anti-woke, but he's not exactly woke. That's kind of what he positioned himself as, but. I think he's afraid of being consumed by the new psychotic identitarians that are in the left, because all he talks about all he talks about now, I swear to God, are trans people. Because he's constantly saying, "Oh, you're gonna blame trans people. You're gonna blame trans people."
He's talking about how much they don't talk about trans people.
Yes, he's literally signaling that he does not blame trans people and that he can still be a part of the new revolutionary vanguard and he should not be purged from the online party. That's what he's doing. It's hilarious.
Well, yeah, I mean, I swear to God, they intentionally imploded the Democrat Party. They couldn't have handled that any worse. So decimate that. Great reset for the Democrat Party. And then now we'll see how it's going to be rebuilt. They're starting to put, stock into Hassan Piker. I don't know if you guys are familiar with his political leanings, but we'll see where the political winds take us for the left in the next few months to a few years.
Yeah, I got to tell you, either way, wherever it takes us, man, I'm fucking done with it.
Yeah, honestly, right. I'm honestly demoralized listening.
I'm so demoralized.
I'm honestly demoralized listening to them listen to Kyle. I'm listening to them and it's bringing me down, and then I'm like, okay, let's go back to Kyle, and it's bringing me down, and then I go back to them and it's spiraling me down a depressive drain right now. I think I'm absolutely done with it.
And this is how communists obtain power. They bore you and demoralize you out of existence until you leave the room, and then they're the ones in charge.